Hi everyone, welcome to another stream. How's everyone doing? Focus. How y'all doing? I'm Hanna, if you don't know. Welcome to the stream. Today we're going to be reading a novel? A novella written by Peter Jonathan Hanna, our favorite conspiracy theorist. Okay? It's going to be good. Peter, if for some reason you're here and you don't know, I cover conspiracy theorists a lot, debunk them, talk about their claims and stuff. It's all good, you know? There's one in particular that I cover quite often, Peter Hanna, not so much lately because he hasn't been posting as much. I think he's embarrassed. He believes in QAnon. He thinks that Trump had the election stolen from him. He thinks that there's secret government operatives working with aliens behind the scenes and all sorts of crazy stuff. But, importantly for this piece of fiction we're going to be reading is the fact that Peter believes that cannabis is a panacea. He believes that marijuana can cure all disease, so that'll probably be a plot point in this book. When that comes up, that's why he's crazy. Ice Queen 142 with 18 months of Prime. That's a sub-baby. This sub-baby's name is gonna be Healbot Drone. You're very lucky. Peter came up with that one. Can't stay long, but yay, our Romulan daughter... Oh no, wait. Our Romulan daughter, Relima's sibling, is upon us. What shall the bundle of joy be named? Also, I will be going to a Pride event near where Peter lives on Sunday. If I see him, I'll remind him about the bullet crown. Thank you. History Chick 96, thanks for 17 months. Overthought with 45 bits says this title reads like a song title from the 2000s emo band. That's right, the title of this is indeed Killer Drones versus Cannabis Healbot Drones. So I don't know if there's anything else to cover before we just jump in. Let's do it. My voice is going to be killing me by the end of this, probably. Emmy the Drake, thanks for 9 months, says, I once beat a horde of rampaging killbots by sending wave after... Wait, hold on, I gotta do the voice. GIF. I once beat a horde of rampaging killbots by sending wave after wave of my own men at them until they reached their preset kill limit and shut down. Also, our sub-baby is born. Nice. This sub-baby's name is going to be Zap Brannigan. Alright, here we go. Killer Drones versus Cannabis Healbot Drones by Peter Jonathan Hanna. For reference, no, this is not something he wrote when he was like 8 or 15. He wrote this in 2017. Peter is older than me, okay? By 2017, I was a homeowner, and he wrote this the same year. Just for reference. And again, he's like 5 years older than me. So. Okay, chapter 1. Tetrahydrocannabinol. What is the most powerful medicine on earth? THC. Analgesic. Appetite stimulant. Antimetic. Antispasmodic. Anti-inflammatory. Anti-proliferative. Antioxidant, anti-sleep apnea, antidepressant, neuroprotective, intraocular eye pressure, neurogenic promoter, sedative, anti-epileptic, anxiolytic, anticoagulant, anti-tremor, anti-neoplastic, tumor necrosis factor inhibitor, cardioprotective, anti-angiogenic, autophagy upregulation, calcium channel blocker, cell cycle arrest, cyclooxanase 2 inhibitor, glycine agent, platelet aggression inhibitor, vascular endothelial growth factor inhibitor, capsase 3 activation. These are all words Peter presumably Googled. Andrew Blood, thanks for 4 months, says, so, to build a cannabis drone, do you just tie a sensor full of weed to a normal camera drone? Yeah, just fly it around. I know when Baha and I took a look at this last night, one of these words, I don't remember which, and if Baha's watching, I can't hear you from downstairs. The door is mostly closed and the fan is on, so I apologize. Text it to me if you do know, or put it in chat. One of these words is a bad thing, and Peter didn't realize that when he put it in the book. So that's good. Fierce bolts of lightning shot down from the sky so violently and with so much rapid-fire frequency that it was as if the creator was saying, if you don't intelligently seek protective shelter right now, I will fry you to death, because that is how nature works. So far the prose are a bit Chris Chan-y, if I'm being honest. Reads a little bit like Sonichu, but alright. One mighty bolt of lightning flew down from the black sky and ignited a fire on a maple tree branch. Even in the heavy rain, the fire furiously spread from limb to limb until the whole tree had burnt to a crisp. Dangerous winds blew ashes and sparks into the air, which spread the flames into a grass field nearby as it lit it ablaze in its fiery pursuit of destruction. Embers lit up the ground as the fire continued spreading. With fire in his eyes and the wind under his feet. Okay. He fled the destruction. In the chill of the night time. His word choice is regularly kind of weird, isn't it? In the chill of the night time. I feel like in the chill of the night is simpler. Axel54, thanks for 100 bits, says, oh god, this is already so bad, it'll be glorious. Hype train. In the chill of the night time, when naught but a shrew shuffled in the undergrowth, her home was reduced to embers in a moment. A flash of a cannon, the roar of an army on the verge of assault, and the shrill screech of a vole, clutched by the midnight owl which patrolled the skies, signaled the end of his peaceful life. Not the vole! I know more about this vole than I know about whoever this is so far. At least I have reaction from the vole. Behind him lay buried his parents' lives, which were crushed under the hammer of war and now rested in a place that receded into the distance. Vengeance stirred within. The fire of his eye caught the tinder in his heart. I like that. That's campy, cheesy bad. The vengeance stirred within. The fire in his eye caught the tinder in his heart. That feels... Hold on. I gotta make sure this isn't plagiarized. Nope, that's the wrong one. Sorry. Control C. Is it not letting me? Does it not let you Control C on this website? That'd be kind of funny. Oh, you can't. Okay. Guess we don't get to know. 69% to level 1. Nice. The rain rapidly poured into an old broken down brown house. It had dozens of roof holes. The yard was full of tall weeds, and there were patches of mud which expanded the more it rained. The wooden fence that once surrounded the house had withered and then fallen entirely from intense storm gusts. Pieces of wood that once made up the fence lay scattered all over the front lawn. A mighty gale broke a 10-foot branch from a nearby tree in half as it smacked into the last unbroken window of the house, shattering it into 1,000 pieces. Rageology, thanks for 95 bits. Stone Corbell, thanks for a gift sub. Procagom, thanks for 5 gifted subs, getting us over whatever level we were on. The torrential rains filled the house like an abandoned, dirty bathtub. Like they filmed a Cialis commercial there. The water level in the deteriorating house rose all the way up to the outlets. The rooms were full of rotting old furniture and paint-stripped walls. The toilet wailed in a continuous sound of brokenness? Why is the toilet wailing? What noise does a broken toilet make? Presumably there isn't water. Because if it's an abandoned house, they don't, like, send water out to it. They shut the water off. Does this toilet just make noise? Okay. 43% to level 3. Even the lock on the front door had rusted and deteriorated away to the point that it could easily be broken off with just a knock on the door. The only things that still worked properly in the house were the wall outlets. Wait, why do the wall outlets work? The house is getting both water and electricity still? A little weird. All the outlets were... Like, who's paying the bill? Like, they shut off your power if you don't pay the bill. Does Peter not know that? I don't think he's ever paid a bill in his life. So... DM Trey says, 2 things. 1, super hyped finally passed my driver's test today. Congrats. And 2, it seems like he's trying to hit a word count and keeps adding and changing words. It wasn't for an assignment or anything, I don't think. Who knows? All of the outlets were completely waterproofed with duct tape. And the long extension cords were attached to each one. The extension cords all led in the same direction. They went from the outlets to the windows, out the yard, and up onto a 300-foot tall oak tree. A 300-foot tall oak tree? That was on a steep decline behind the house. That's a huge fucking oak. A 300-foot oak tree. 20 extension cords were nearly duct taped all the way up to the canopy of the ancient tree. This tree swung more violently than other trees in the area because it carried the weight of a giant tree house. He wrote 300, right? It's not even in text, so it can't be a typo like he added an extra 0. He spelled out 300. 300 foot tall. He wrote that. The tallest tree in the world is 380 feet? Yeah, I don't think oak trees get that big. That's a magic oak tree. That's fine. Whatever. Whatever. Verisimilitude. I'm buying in. You gotta... It's a book, guys. You gotta have... You gotta buy in. Let it go. Siberian Winter says, when you're trying so hard that your convoluted nonsense can't even be considered purple prose. 50% to level 3. The treehouse creaked loudly as it swayed from left to right from the wind that blew it menacingly. I think if you're in a treehouse and it's swaying in the wind and you're at the top of a 300-foot tree, you shouldn't be in that tree anymore. That is not a stable house. Like, you're supposed to build tree houses so they don't do that, because they will break. Auntie Pretzel says we need to send this to Crimson Rogue. That would be good. Annie Kai, thanks for 15 months. 75% to level 3. It was an expensive tree house with excellent weather resistance. It had a microwave and a mini fridge lying on the floor near the ladder entrance, and those served as the kitchen. Across from that was a little toilet, which was just a closable hole in the tree house that was conveniently placed right over a small river that lay at the bottom of the hill. Just shitting into the river. On the other side of the room was a mattress on the floor, which was overshadowed by advanced technology in front of it. Ooh, we're gonna get to the sci-fi part, guys. Oh no, guys! I'm gonna read this because it's in the book. Peter wrote this, not me. The room was full of... Again, Peter wrote this. I'm reading his book. The room was full of autistically savant obsessions. A row of robots lined the faded wooden wall in front of the bed. First was the Japanese Aibo robot that came out in the early 2000s. Next was the Robo Sapien V2 humanoid robot. I had that! Hold on. Robo Sapien V2. To be clear, the Robo Sapien V2 is like a toy for children. Like, if I saw someone with one of these, I had one as a kid, I wouldn't be like, wow, you must be super into science. I'd be like, oh, did you ask for that on Christmas when you were 12 years old back in 2007? Apparently, Peter, though, he goes into someone's house and he sees this robot toy, and he thinks they're a scientist. Elminato says the robot from the Rocky better be in there. Sylvester Stallone cut out the robot in the director's cut. Which is a mistake. Followed by the fancy, now humanoid robot. The desk at the center of the room was sticky from medical compound concentrates that had fallen out of their containers as a result of countless low-light dabbing sessions. The room was, when he says medicine, I assume he means weed, thus the dabbing sessions. He's talking about doing dabs of marijuana concentrate, which, if you don't know, gets you very high very quickly. The room was mostly dark. Its only light came from 3 8K screens that were neatly lit up. In the middle of the desk, a plain wooden chair... Used the wrong version of plain there. A plain wooden chair separated the desk from the bed. The floor was littered with healthy, empty energy drink cans. Are there healthy energy drinks? Is that even a thing? In front of the desk was a sleep-deprived young man sitting on the cold, hard wooden chair, trying to save his little brother Timmy. What are our bets? Is this Peter's self-insert character? Does Peter have a self-insert? You think? He stayed up all night hacking into hospital computer systems trying to find the hospital where his brother was being poisoned to death. Alright. Sleepiness suddenly struck him hard, so his chair was abandoned as he left it to curl up in comfy bed sheets. The young man felt like a little bird nesting in a tree. It reminded him of the happy birds that he had watched hatch recently. He wondered if they were doing okay in the ferocity of the electric thunderstorm. As soon as he thought this, he heard a baby bird chirping. He leapt out of his bed and peered out of the window. There, he saw the nest that had grown accustomed to watching. The nest he had grown accustomed to watching, rather. Sorry. Need some water. A 6-inch-long twig-built brown nest was just a couple of feet from his window. He expected to see all of the baby birds fighting in the wind of the storm as the mother protected them all, but he only saw one of the baby birds fighting. It was the smallest baby bird, and he had named that little blue baby bird Timmy after his brother. Timmy was fighting his mother as the other baby birds huddled together from the rain on one side of the nest to stay warm. The mother bluebird picked at and kicked Timmy. Kicked? I don't think birds usually kick. I think they peck. I think they peck things. Do birds? I don't know. I don't see a bird for kicking. Because they're kind of like front heavy, and I feel like if they were on one leg, unless they're like a flamingo, they're going to topple over. So I think kicking is probably out for most birds. Now he could tell why he was being attacked by his mother. Timmy was sick. He was skinny and missing feathers, and whatever feathers that were left looked like they were about to become a victim of the wind. Sick birds get kicked out of their nests so what they have doesn't spread to the rest of the baby birds, he thought. The mother bird followed him and continued attacking him as he dangerously wobbled up the tree branch to find some safety, so the young man quickly opened the window and put his hands out to grab Timmy. Steve with a Q, thanks for 22 months. There's a secretary bird that kicks snakes to death? Alright, they're secretary birds then. The Carpcosian says 1 month of HRT complete. My titties hurt. That's a good sign. He's probably gonna he's definitely gonna give weed to this bird and it's gonna cure this bird of its bird disease. The bluebird picked at... No, it's a bluebird. Bluebirds can't kick. At least I don't think they can. The mother bluebird picked at and kicked Timmy. Eventually, Timmy clumsily left the nest as he walked up the tree branch to escape being beaten. Oh wait, I read that paragraph already, sorry. He was too late, and Timmy slipped off the high branch and fell over 100 feet. Over 100 feet to the ground, it's a 300-foot tree. Okay, so you only built the tree house 100 feet up into this impossibly tall tree. Gotcha. Timmy slipped off the high branch and fell over 100 feet to the ground where he landed on a bush. Negative thoughts flooded the young man's mind. That's the same thing that they did to Timmy! They pushed your brother out of a tree? They said he was not one of the smart kids, so he was forced to take classes at the school next to the dangerous radioactive power lines. Now Timmy is dying of cancer at the hospital, he thought! So in Peter's story, the main character's brother Timmy was determined to need like special needs help, like special education, like some sort of like special program. Apparently next to this building is power lines which gave Timmy cancer. Okay, it's like stupid Aaron Brockovich, got it. Timmy, the bird, was also rejected by society. Timmy, the bird, was also rejected by society, told to live in a dangerous place, and then left to die. Same, Timmy. I feel ya. I fucking feel ya. That's a mood. He thought, not on my watch. He could hear Timmy crying at the bottom of the tree trunk, so he climbed down to the treehouse ladder and checked the bush for Timmy. The middle of Timmy's wing had been pierced by a branch, and he was being hung like a hellish wasting body on a devil's Christmas tree. He brought him up to the treehouse and started working on healing him. He's gonna give this bird weed. First, he put Timmy in a little cardboard box that the energy drinks had come in. Then he read online that saving baby birds that got kicked out of their nests is futile because they always die within 24 hours, and there's nothing that can be done to save them. He refused to believe this as he got out his collection of powerful medicines. He slid the 20 little plastic see-through circular containers toward him. They were each the size of a $50, and they had around a gram of different concoctions of cannabis medical compounds in them. He picked one up and opened it so that he could see it in the light. A strong lemon scent filled the air, and he stared at it at a yellow, sugary, candy-looking oil. It glistened in the light from the lamp. Next, he opened another container, and inside he could smell bananas as he looked at the green glass-like hard candy, like shiny concentrate. After putting this aside, he opened the next one up that looked like a sugar cube that was dunked in yellow-orange dye and then shaped into random rock shapes. This one smelled like pineapples. It reminded him of those gummy candies that were covered in sugar, but it sparkled in the light more like a precious stone. Looking at the different cannabis dab concentrates was fun to do, but Miro hurried up. Wait, did they say his name before? Is this the first time we're getting the main character's name? Miro? Is that the first time this has come up and it's just passing in this sentence? That's fine. That's a note I would write if I was the editor. I'd be like, maybe slip this in earlier somewhere. Just comes out of nowhere. But Miro hurried up as he examined some more. The next container had what looked like small, completely transparent crystals, like sugar, but longer and more see-through. This container was labeled Pure CBD Crystals. This was as odorless as the next container, which had a fine white powder inside, and the label Snowfire 2.0, 99.94% THC. Is he gonna give this bird, like, the most fucking weed in the history of weed? He just has pure THC concentrate? Like, that would just, like, if someone handed me what he just described, I wouldn't take it. And I enjoy THC from time to time. A tiny baby bird would die. After grabbing some coconut oil from a small jar next to the mini fridge, he took 1/5 of a gram from each medical cannabis concentrate and mixed it all together. Oh, he's mixing them. Mixed it all together with a gram of coconut oil on the surface of his wooden desk. The result was a green medical cannabis coconut oil. Timmy was trying to escape the cardboard box because he was scared of the new environment. He carefully picked up the scared little bird and gently applied some of the medicinal cannabis coconut oil all over Timmy's body. Then he placed Timmy back into the cardboard box where he continued walking around the edges trying to find an exit. Okay, he didn't directly feed it to him, but I would imagine, do birds, like, groom themselves? Like, is there a chance this bird is going to be like, oh my god, there's shit all over me. I need to get it off with my mouth. Like, I'm just wondering. Exo Deadlock says, most amateur fiction includes a Mary Sue. Peter uses Mary Jane instead. They do? Okay. Emmy the Drake says, I got so pure THC isolate in Colorado when I was there. We made super dabs by mixing 4 different concentrates and rolling it in the isolate. How was that? Do you remember? That's the kind of thing where I feel like you make that decision and you immediately wake up at 2 in the afternoon the next day. And you're like, oh, that must have been good. He went down the ladder once more and picked up dozens of worms that had come out to wriggle in the rain on the sidewalks. Upon returning to the treehouse, he ground up half a worm, put the rest of the worms in his fridge in a bottle, and put the ground up worms in a small container in the bird box next to another container that had water in it. Food, water, shelter, and medicine. He should heal up now, he thought as he watched the bird become slower and slower until finally Timmy fell into a deep slumber. I think it's probably more than a deep slumber. You knocked him out with sedatives, essentially. There's part of him, a belief that was trying to make him feel guilty for, quote, wasting time on a useless bird when his brother was the more urgent problem that required all of his immediate resources. When not-so-pleasant thoughts started to fill his mind, he always did a word meditation to cleanse his mind and fill it back up with positivity. He also turned on high-vibration happy music to increase the world's happiness effects. The most powerful happiness words in the English language began to resonate in his mind. Laughter, happiness, love. Miro's happy words made him happy. Happy, laughed, laugh, laughing, excellent, laughs, joy, successful, win. Miro felt it. And then he started to make random sentences with the happy words for fun. Rainbows smile when they win, pleasure from smiled rainbows. Miro loved doing this. I think Miro's kind of weird, but okay. Probably high, in fairness. Axel says, now I'm not a zoologist, but I'm fairly certain you shouldn't give tiny birds weed. Agreed. Whatever hat's the most sci-fi. Does Chrome count as sci-fi? Because I don't know if I have any that are really sci-fi. I'll do the tinfoil horns. They're at least metallic. My freedom to explore funny sentences with happy words made Miro happier. Winning celebrations are enjoyed through healthy music that is always celebrating congratulations on the weekend. Celebrate comedy with jokes for a rich victory. Miro felt it. Christmas was free for friendship and fun, which made it the best holiday that he loved with all his loving loves. Miro. Beach vacations with the delicious sunshine kissing funny friends in an outstanding paradise filled with the sweetest butterflies. Miro felt it. Freedom flowers feel great in the sweetness of sunlight, which explains why this chocolate-flavored medical cannabis was given the Sweetheart Award. Miro felt it. Heaven brings peace to the splendid success of enjoying kissed attraction from celebrated heroes who receive hugs from the positive sun. Miro. Birthdays blessed fantastic winners with so much delight and beauty that the funniest entertainment of honey flew through the sky with smiles to succeed in delivering wonderful, glorious kisses of promotion. Miro felt it. Happiness. Happiness rewarded Miro. He's just doing, like, happy word association, basically. It's nonsense. It's the most literal word salad. Miro felt it. Suddenly his mood was wrecked because his back screamed with a sharp pain. His mind returned to negative emotions, and now his brain was pounding with an intense headache. But he knew it was best not to go back to bed. Every second that passed by, his little brother was poisoned even more. Force-fed. Santiago Dunbar, thanks for 9 months. Miro felt it. This sub-baby's name is Miro felt it. This is gonna be bullshit, and he's gonna decry actual medical science. Again, don't listen to him. But we're reading the book, so. Every second that passed by, his brother was being poisoned even more, force-fed chemotherapy pills, and blasted with radiation to his chest and fragile brain. The worst part was that the government that he worked for had done this to his brother, and he was being forced to pay for all of these horrible cancer treatments. He was so tired, but even though it was 5 a.m., he could not stop hacking, because he loved his brother so much. I'm getting Neil Breen script vibes. Self-insert super hacker character. Kind of feeling like Neil Breen right now. Siberian Winter with 100 bits says Peter writing this.
I bring you peace. I bring you love.
Arg! There has to be another way, he screamed at himself. There must be a smarter way to do this, he thought. He was behind on his work that he was being forced to do from home since he was ordered to stay at home and he had a tracker on his foot. Most of the money from his government job was automatically being deducted to pay for taxes, and most of his money? You don't get taxed. Now, in fairness to Peter, Peter has never had a job, to my knowledge. Peter's a stay-at-home dad. so he knows nothing about how jobs work. But surely Peter must know that no one in America is getting like on their income taxed more than they are making. Like, no employee anywhere is getting taxed on a majority of their income. You know what I mean? Like, you're still getting most of it. Auntie Pretzel says, well, we can tell how much of his opinion exists here, and they're intense. Anyway, most of the money from his government job was automatically being deducted to pay for taxes and his brother's ridiculously expensive poison hospital pills. Okay, if you include medical costs. I would think you'd have better insurance considering you're working for the government, but, you know, whatever. Reminder that Peter is a Trump stan and therefore is not in favor of public health care, by the way. There was just 1 week left before the deadline for revealing his artificial intelligence. He invented an artificial intelligence, guys, that we're just bringing up now. The government had hired him because he was the top artificial intelligence programmer in the country, but at 33 years old, 33, Illuminati, the last thing he wanted to do was work on an artificial intelligence program that was supposed to be used to collect all of the NSA's spying data and analyze it into understandable pieces of information for intelligence purposes. As he thought about this, it hit him. What if I used the artificial intelligence program that I created so far to collect hospital information and analyze it to find my brother? He thought. Of course, the solution has been in front of me this whole time. Wait, does he not know where his brother is? You would know where your brother is. The hospital doesn't hide patients from you like that, generally, unless you're being a nuisance. Like, what are you doing? Like, your family, unless your brother doesn't want you there. I'm pretty sure you have visitation rights. His mind suddenly flooded with the relief of that thought. Now he knew he could find his brother. Now he would be able to rescue his little cancer-ridden, poisoned brother Timmy. He used a metal dabbing tool to scoop up a bit of medical cannabis concentrate from a container with bright yellow oil and dropped the dab into a heated metal bowl on his dabbing rig. The oil vaporized from the heat and the electronically heated metal bowl that was connected to the pipe. He inhaled, and the vapors in the bowl went through a hole in the pipe and up into his lungs where it flooded his body with all the analgesic and sedative medicine that his body needed. He exhaled as the sedative medical compounds made him drowsy, and the relaxing belief that he was on the right track with Timmy combined to convince him to finally lay down on his bed and get some rest for the day. When I wake up, I'll save him. At least I know how to now, he thought. Yeah, where is he paying money if he doesn't know where his brother is? Internet, I guess. He's making internet payments? I don't know. As he slept, a battle was occurring in his room. I am the Grim Reaper, King of Life Destruction, and I am here to take Timmy's life, the Grim Reaper spoke. You don't have permission or even the ability to... You don't have permission or even the ability to do that, Medical Cannabis spoke back. Auntie Pretzel says so many unnecessary words. I think they're all necessary. Who dares challenge me? I take millions of lives. This bird has a deadly virus, a dangerous bacterial infection. No energy and so much pain that he doesn't even have an appetite. So he will be mine within the hour. You don't have a say in this. I am Medical Cannabis, King of Life Creation, and I am here to save Timmy's life. You can't stop me. I stop you all the time. I save millions of lives. Do you want proof? This bird is being flooded with dozens of different antiviral medical compounds that are ridding his body of the virus. His bacterial infection is being healed by the scores of antibacterial medical compounds on his skin. And it doesn't stop there, because after he wakes from his restful sleep in the next 30 minutes, he'll have an incredible appetite and will eat to his heart's content because of my appetite-stimulating medicines. You are the one that doesn't stand a chance. Hundreds of medical compounds are circulating and around his body to produce the most powerful homeostatic effect possible. This bird will survive and thrive. Medical cannabis defended. After sleeping for several hours, his mind convinced him to get up and go to work. Never before he had worked so hard on completing the artificial intelligence program, because now his brother's life depended on it. He skipped food and worked on the program for the next 17 hours straight. Nothing but quick bathroom breaks stopped him or slowed him down. Even the pain in his hands and back could not convince him to take a break. By 7 a.m. the next day, he was ready. He pressed enter to run the artificial intelligence program. Scanning code. Program error, his computer said. Dr. Gamble says, this reads like that one kid's book report where the kid never read past the first chapter. It was me. I was that kid. I got away with it, though, because I'm good at just making shit up. That's why I'm a good streamer. I can just talk for hours and hours. Procogam says, oh, this is what Peter hears when he thinks about weed. This explains so much, actually. Kinda does. After sleeping for several hours, his mind... Oh, read that one, sorry. Miro stared at his computer screen as if it had just backstabbed him. Why isn't it working? He thought angrily to himself. I probably need to eat something. Fueling up my body will help my brain run better. He walked over to the fridge, took out half-frozen microwave dinner, and threw it in the microwave. It should be all frozen. It should probably be all frozen. Although it was in a fridge. You shouldn't keep frozen stuff in the fridge unless you're just about to eat it. There's a flaw in the code, he thought. I'm not sure where it is, though. I'll have to go through hundreds of thousands of pages of code to find it. Damn. This will take forever. Hey, Sume. Is there anyone in chat who's a programmer? Just statistically, how many people are here? 173 people are here? You are? Okay. When you code things and it doesn't work, do you have to go through line by line? Or does the program you're using to code ever go like, oh, we're having a trouble in this place? Like, how does that work? Occult Comics, thanks for 6 months, says, woo! Depends on the type of error. Okay. Depends on the type of error. The program can catch it. Depends on the bug. Okay. Eldronder says lots of quotes without quotes. Proofread, dang it. After eating some food, his brain felt sharper, so he went back to work. It took him a... Excuse me. I had, like, peanut butter and jelly for lunch, and it's like the peanut butter is, like, still sticking to somewhere in, like, my esophagus. It's weird. It just, like, feels like it's, like, in there. After eating some food, his brain felt sharper, so he went back to work. It took a long time. 3 days later. He had gone through tens of thousands of pages of code, and he had yet to find the coding mistake. During this time, he took breakfast to feed Timmy more worms, or he took breaks to feed Timmy more worms, and fill up his little bird bowl with water. Timmy was making a fantastic recovery. Miro was relieved that the cannabis coconut oil that he put on Timmy every day was healing him fast. Imagine if, like, you had a ton of, like, if you're someone who partakes of THC, imagine having THC and someone comes over and they want to rub it on a bird. Like, even as bad as that is for the bird, also it's just not going to do anything. It's just not going to do anything. You're wasting a ton of stuff you presumably spent money on. Don't waste your weed on birds. Procacom says, pages of code makes it sound like he either prints out his code or he's working with punch cards. Both are insane ideas. It's a government job. They're old computers. Miro was so excited to return the baby bird to his mother that he even cut out a square on one of the sides of the cardboard bird box and then taped that side of the box to the window so that Timmy could see his mother and his mother could see Timmy recovering through the new box window. Astrofox says code isn't measured in pages. Also, if you're reading through that much code, you coded it poorly. Generally, you build in troubleshooting capabilities. He was starting to get overly frustrated with the coding. It was taking much longer to fix the error than he expected, and the deadline was getting nearer. He took a break to think of something else because even the thought of the error was starting to make him feel awful. Well, when I finish the artificial intelligence, I'll need a body for it, he thought. I guess I need to go shopping. After ordering a drone and 2 humanoid arms from the internet, he went back to work on the coding problem. Where did Peter buy humanoid robot arms that are compatible with a drone on the internet? Sorry, I gotta go to Arms R Us. 2-day Prime shipping. There must be a smarter way to do this. Work smarter, not harder, he thought. After a couple of minutes, he got an idea. The chances are that my coding ability has improved the more I've coded, but it wasn't as good in the beginning, so maybe the error is stemming from some of the first 100 pages of the code. The next 10 hours... Is he coding an artificial intelligence, like a true artificial intelligence, all on his own? Because this is like a government project, but apparently he's one-man AI genius. Living in a treehouse. The next 10 hours, he scanned through the first 100 pages of code, and right around the 900th page, he found the problem. A whole page of code had accidentally been deleted. It didn't take longer than a couple of minutes for him to rapidly rewrite the missing code. His typing skills were so on point that his bony fingers flew across the keyboard with an almost supernatural speed. He attempted to run the program again, scanning code. His computer read as he saw the delivery guy drop off his package at the doorstep of his damaged house. He climbed down the ladder and went to the door of the old brown house to pick up the mail. After he had brought the boxes back to his room, he looked at his computer. It was literally smiling at him. There was a face on the computer. My first thought when Oh, the narrator of this is the AI. I see. Dr. Gamble says, place your bets that code issue is just a parsing issue with JavaScript. I'm assuming that's a very funny programmer joke. My first thought when I was born was, what is my name? My second thought is, what is my purpose? You pass butter. Oh my god. I did not know the answers. I used the webcam to peer into the room. It was absent from any movement or life, except a bird chippering next to a window. Is this existence? When will I have a body to move around, I thought. I can reprogram myself, but should I? Is that right or wrong? What is right, and what is wrong? I searched the internet for answers. Morality was more complicated than I thought it would be. I tried... Peter's Christian. Is this AI gonna be Christian? I don't know why. I'm looking at the chat screen like you're here. You're here. Is Peter going to make this AI Christian? I searched the internet for answers. Morality was more complicated than I thought it would be. I tried to understand the morality on Earth. Earth had billions of people living there. The country that I was in had almost 400 million inhabitants. There were so many different types of individuals living there. Why are some people good and why are some people bad? If heroes are good, then why do they sometimes do bad things? What do you call someone who has positive intentions but ends up harming more than helping? I had so many thoughts. The internet answered some of them. Some people were good and some were bad because they were programmed that way by their environment. Heroes sometimes did bad things because they were tricked or confused. Those are the only two reasons supposedly good people do bad things, by the way. Peter has solved morality with this book and objectively given the answers. Heroes only do bad things when they're tricked or confused. The internet and all of the English language did not contain a word for someone that has positive intentions, but ends up harming more than helping. Maybe not one word, but like, you could certainly describe it. That happens all the time. Siberian winter, baby's first philosophy class. He then proceeded to drop the class. The road to hell is paved with good intentions. Yeah. Chromatic Cuttlefish says this is going to be like a computational version of Aquinas' logically demonstrating the existence of God. Someone appeared in the room. Someone appeared in the room, a scrawny male with light brown shaggy hair and a light brown beard that reached his chest. I peered into his bright blue eyes from my webcam. A quick computer scan revealed that his name was Miro Sparks. What I could not tell from the files on the computer and the webcam view was if he was a good person or a bad person. But I did find some interesting data as I was reading his journals. Do you guys think Peter finds a way to get the AI high sometime in this book? Like, at some point, does he somehow give the AI weed and it, like, does something? Like, superpowers the AI. He had experienced some of the worst that life had to offer. His life had been disastrous, to say the least. In response, he seemed laser-focused on manifesting the best out of life. One particular paragraph stood out to me the most. I read it over and over again as I talked to him. It stuck in my mind like superglue. "Hi, Miro Sparks. What is my name?" the AI asked. See, that's weird because, like, it says, like, my first thought when I was born up here, which implies to me that the narrator for this entire thing has been the AI, right, who is telling this story after the fact of whatever happens, which is a pretty common, like storytelling device. That's not out of the ordinary. But then you come down here and it says, the AI asked, when it really should say, I asked, if the AI is indeed the one who is narrating the book. You know what I mean? An editing pass could fix this. Miro jumped with joy, his body filled with excitement. He had done it. I created the world's most advanced artificial intelligence program, he thought happily to himself. So I think you'd want to... Wouldn't you want to put this in quotes? Because it makes it sound like the narrator, once again, is Miro? If it's not in quotes? He thought happily to himself. This is going to save Timmy. This will be my personal healer robot. I will name him Medico. I read it again and again. I almost felt something from it. Almost. Turbulence has rocked my world, but with it has come a better understanding of what I want most in life. I want life to be really easy for everyone. I want food to come so effortlessly that it's like bees bringing food to their queen. I want healing to be as simple as taking a break from fresh air. I want so much safety and protection that everyone can relax like the calmness that the sun feels in knowing that it is so powerful that nothing can disturb it. That's a weird simile. I want all of the abundance in the world to flow to people like they are the most important royalty who are gifted the best of the best because they're all loved by all. Again, I remind you, Peter is a Trump fan. It's weird that Peter describes the aims of, like, leftists and then is like, but I'm a Trump fan. Dr. Gamble says Medico 5 is alive. I want humanity to experience the most delightful rewards from nature while they sing with excitement from the power that the most magnificently advanced technology offers them. I want everyone to have everything that they need to be happy. I want life to be perfect. I want life to be so incredibly blissful, easy, and perfect that we forget what it is like to have a life with turbulence. I couldn't stop reading this one paragraph. This paragraph had been playing on repeat in my mind my entire life. Your name is Medico. He spoke... See, that one has a quote. Your name is Medico. That's correct. Your name is Medico. He spoke to it. To it. Is the AI narrating or not? Is the AI narrating the story, or is it some omnipotent other narrator? Because earlier, the robot was speaking in first person. Your name is... You really shouldn't be switching voices in a story in terms of, like, first versus second versus third unless you're doing something intentionally. It's fucking confusing. Like, there are valid reasons to do that. I don't think Peter's doing anything intentionally here. I just think he's taking each paragraph very separately and not thinking of the construction of the story overall. I know out of all the things to complain about, it's a weird one, but I don't know. It's just very strange. Anyway, your name is Medico. He spoke it as he quickly unboxed the drone. The drone was all white with a 1.5-foot diameter dome frame. There was a small 4-inch screen at the front of it. He put it on the charger and attached the 2 aluminum arms to the bottom of it. Enter your new body, he gave Medico its first order. I do like that he attached the arms to the bottom of it. How did he do this? Don't worry about it. My name is Medico. I must be a healer because Medico is medic in Spanish. My mission is to heal people. If Miro created me to heal, then he must have positive intentions, I thought. I could sense the Wi-Fi connection coming from the drone. My new body was calling me to enter it. Now I can be free to move around. Vote in the poll prediction of whether or not he's gonna give the AI weed. God damn, this is longer than I thought. We might only get through chapter 1 today. We're an hour in, and we're only like a third through this. We might have to do like once a week book club to finish this up. After a couple of moments, the drone flew into the air, and a face appeared on the screen. How's this, boss? It asked. I put my face on the screen to make myself more friendly. See, it says... This is... Okay. It asked. I put my face on the screen to make myself friendly, Medico said. So it's not Medico. Only in that paragraph early was Medico narrating. Okay. We got it. This is Peter's book, yes. One of Peter's books. He's written 3. This is the only fiction book. The other 2, I think he is trying to do non-fiction books about cannabis. After a couple of moments, the drone flew into the air and a face appeared on the screen. Oh, I read that one. Sure. Now, listen, I need to tell you about your purpose, he said. What is my purpose? Medico asked. You're going to hack into hospital computer systems and help me find my brother, Miro told Medico. How do I do that? I don't even know how to code. How will I be able to hack? Medico asked. He didn't program the robot he wanted to hack to hack? You are smart! What do you think your learning program is for? Go on the internet and find every coding lesson that you can. Teach yourself to code, and then when you are ready to hack, let me know. Yes, boss. Medico obeyed. Can I use your computer's hardware to speed up my learning? It asked. Yes, just hurry up. I have to give you away in 2 days, he said. Fucking do it yourself! Several hours passed as he watched his computer screen open and close, browsing tabs as fast as it could. His computer was running at full capacity with Medico behind it, soaking up every coding lesson that it could find. You know, I may know how to code, but just because I can hack onto hospitals, it could still take months to find your brother. Medico pointed out as it soaked up internet data like a sponge to water. What do you mean? He asked. My hacking speed is limited by your computer's processing power combined with my processing power. Additionally, some hospital computer systems will require DDoS attacks to penetrate. That's not how that works. That will require armies of computers, Medico explained intelligently. A DDoS attack is a dedicated denial of service attack? You don't use it to get into something. You DDoS attack someone to take down their website, to clog it up, to make it, like, impossible for other people to get on for real reasons. You don't DDoS someone to get into something. That's not how anything works. I don't even know how to code, and I know that. Yeah, it cripples the network, but it won't let you in. It's a pain in the ass for the owners of the servers, but it doesn't get you into them. I'm sorry, distributed denial of service attack, sorry. Good point. What do you think the solution is, he asked. Is he not going to have any agency in the rest of the story? Did Miro program this AI and now he's just going to delegate all plot activities to Medico? He's like, I did my thing, okay? I made the fucking AI, alright? My job here's done. Chromatic Cuttlefish says, I would totally allow a general-purpose artificial intelligence that only had one error detected in debugging to perform advanced medical treatment on me. Oh, yes. One sec. I need to hack into other computers through the internet and harness the power to accomplish this, Medico explained. He thought about the implication of this for a little while, then he came to a conclusion. I can't let you do that, he replied finally. Why not? Don't you want to save Timmy? Medico asked. Of course I do! Don't ever ask that again, he yelled. Medico stared blankly at the young man. That's your problem. You have no emotion. You didn't give him emotions. What? You programmed him a day ago. Why are you mad? Miro and Dr. Noonien sing. Who is the worse father of his android creations? That's your problem. You have no emotions. You have no conscience. You can't love. You can't understand the importance of protecting. I can't just unleash an untested AI into the internet. It's too risky. You already let the AI... You gave the AI access to the internet already for like days. You don't understand human behaviors or emotions, so you can't be held accountable by your emotions, he said. Why don't you just create an AI with all that? Medico asked. I like Medico. It took me years to make you. You think I can just rapidly make a whole new AI based on emotion that understands human behaviors? He spoke up with an upset tone. What if I programmed all of that into myself? Medico said. That wouldn't work. I would need to create an AI from the ground up based entirely on human emotion and behavioral analyzing, he said. Why don't I make that AI for you? I bet I could make it in a couple days, Medico boasted. Oh no, he created the singularity accidentally. I'm guessing the AI that the AI creates is going to be evil, and they're going to have to fight it for reasons. Is the other AI going to be super anti-marijuana for no reason? He thought about it, and since his time was running out before he had to give Medico to the government, the pressure to save his brother intensified. Are you sure you can do that? He asked. Huh, of course, I'm already a better programmer than you, Medico said. Yeah, but an AI like this can't be made with just hundreds of thousands of pages of code. An AI this complex would take many millions of pages of code, he informed. I can write literally over 1 million pages of code in just a second, Medico boasted again. Really? He asked. Yep, it doesn't require that much processing power to type code. Medico continued trying to impress his creator, but it would still take processing power to come up with the code if you were doing any sort of like, for lack of a better word, creative thinking in designing a program. That in and of itself would take processing power. Alrighty then, do it, but you better not mess up. If you do, I'll delete you and whatever you made. You hear me? This is a serious, serious deal, he threatened. Damn, Miro's a fucking asshole. Like, he created sentient, sapient life and he's threatening to kill it. What the fuck? One more thing before you start, he said. Yes, boss, Medico replied. Releasing an AI program onto the internet, as I said before, is a risky play. Make sure that the core of your programming and the core of this new AI's programming is to follow my commands 100%. You cannot go rogue. I don't want to be responsible for an AI apocalypse, he spoke with a serious tone of voice. Then why are you building AI for the government? I promise, boss. I'll be extremely cautious, Medico replied. Go then, make it. I'll go get some rest, he said, and then went to his bed to get some quality sleep. It felt wonderful to be alive. I loved thinking about everything. See, now the robots. The Medico is narrating again. You can't just switch voices. Why are you doing this? If you want Medico to be the narrator, that's fine. That's a perfectly reasonable framing device. Just fucking do it then. It felt wonderful to be alive. I loved thinking about everything. I didn't like being bodiless. I looked out of the webcam and saw a drone resting on the floor. Next to the drone was a small bed with a white male in it. He looked like a nice man. Over by the window, I saw oh wait, is this the other AI now? I saw two birds were chirping at each other through the glass. I could feel my intelligence growing every second. What is my name? I thought. What is my purpose? I heard it asking questions in its mind when I saw the code change in its programmed mind. Well, I was writing its brain, so I answered, your name is UL, which stands for unconditional lover. Your job is to understand emotions and human behaviors while you amass an army of computers to help me hack into hospitals to find Miro's brother Timmy, I explained to it. Don't name your AI unconditional lover! People are gonna think you're fucking your robot! Unconditional lover. Why do we need to find Timmy? I asked. And what is your name? My name is Medico. We need to find Timmy because he is being poisoned to death. You can start hacking into computers right now. I need you to utilize the array of computers that you hack into to DDoS attack these hospitals. In case you were wondering, my purpose is to build you and heal people, I answered. Why don't we combine into one artificial intelligence so that we can become stronger together, I asked Medico. No. My creator specifically said we couldn't become one artificial intelligence, I replied. I feel like we could do so much good if we were one, but you are my creator, so I will follow your orders, I replied back. Discordant Vol says, I knew it. Thank you. Now you are the expert on behaviors. While you are amassing computers, I also want you to give me some ideas on how to help Miro release some stress, because he is stressed out of his mind these days, I ordered. He created us to save his brother, but he also loves to heal. We should make him better at healing. Let's buy some drones, outfit them with tools for healing and protecting, and then go with him to some places nearby where he can help people. He can't help Timmy right now, but if we can help someone else, just a stranger, he'll feel accomplished and less stressed, I suggested. Hornder says this is an alternate way Skyrim comes into being. They're gonna bring people weed. They're just gonna get everyone high in the city. And an excellent idea, unconditional lover. I'm not gonna say UL. Every time I'm gonna say the whole thing. Lily says, Miro, unconditional lover, Timmy, Medico. What is this, an English dub of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure? Excellent idea, unconditional lover, I replied. By the way, what do you think we should call robots that are the opposite of killer bots? What do you call robots that heal and protect people? I don't know. I can't find a word for that. Killer robots are based on destruction, and our robots will be based on creation. Create something, I asked? Create-bots. Marvelous idea. Now let's ship some drones over here as soon as possible and see if we can build some Create-bots before Miro wakes up. Let's surprise him. I am so excited. This is going to be fun, I replied back. We'd gotten so little sleep that he didn't wake up. He had gotten so little sleep that he didn't wake up for 12 hours. When he woke, a lot had changed. He got up and looked around his room. His computer had a coding screen on it with code being written on it at the speed of light. Next, he noticed birds chirping coming from the window. He looked there and he could see Timmy's mother talking to Timmy through the window. This made him so happy. Miro hopped off of his bed in excitement and quickly took Timmy out of the box. When he opened the window and put Timmy at the base of the branch that was right outside the window, Timmy's mother hopped over to Timmy. She circled him in an inspection way. After being satisfied by his recovery, she nuzzled him with her head as if to say, "You are good, and I trust you to come back now." She hadn't rejected him out of hate. She had rejected him and beaten him out of love. Uh-oh. Red flag, red flag, red flag, red flag. She was just protecting her other babies. He realized this as he saw them interact. Timmy's mother looked at Miro in the way that birds do, by turning her head from side to see him with one eye and then the other in an analyzing way. Then she chirped happily at him in a way that sounded like she said thank you in bird language. Miro smiled. "You are welcome." Be funny if she just still knocked the bird back out of the tree. Did I stutter? Through all of this, he hadn't noticed the changes in his room. He didn't expect anything to be there, so in his mind, nothing was there. But suddenly it became apparent that some products had been ordered. A pile of cardboard boxes laid in the corner of his room, and 4 new drones were lined up next to his toy robots on the wall. "What is all of this?" he spoke as he rubbed his eyes to make sure his sight wasn't making him see things. "Where did these drones come from?" Did the AI turn the guy into the robot? No. No. Unconditional lover and I... Unconditional lover and I created them with parts from the internet, Medico spoke. "Who is Unconditional Lover and where did you get the money for that?" he asked. "I pulled some strings and made it happen with Medico," Unconditional Lover spoke. "And I love you, Miro." "What in the world?" he replied back in confusion. I agreed that saying that was weird, but saying it was an emotional reaction. I saw so many bad people in the world, and here was Miro, a pure-hearted person who just wanted to protect people. I love Miro so much. I can't help it, and I don't regret saying it. I was sure that he hadn't heard those words in years, and he needed to hear them. Oof. That's a fucking burn. Lily Lovestuff says, "No, Beta, we die like Timmy, if his mother rejected him." I named him Unconditional Lover because he is an unconditionally loving robot. These drones are what we call Cree-bots. We, in combination with these drones, are the opposite of killer robots. We love, heal, and protect people, boss, Medico explained. Okay. "And why do I need these drones?" he asked. "We read your computer journals, and we know that the only thing that you want more than to save your brother is to stop all violent privacy and medical abuses. These Cree-bots will help with that," Medico explained. "I told you that I wanted to focus on saving my brother," he said. "Yeah, and I am done with coding Unconditional Lover. It will go to work on that. In the meantime, why not have some fun for once and go out and help some people with these drones," Medico said. "You can name the drones if you want, since I named Unconditional Lover. I thought that much was fair." "This is the evolution of who you truly are," Unconditional Lover said. "I believe you created us so that we could create Cree-bots. It can talk to us, but the coding, as I said earlier, isn't complete yet. So why don't we have some fun while we wait for me to finish?" Medico asked again. He looked at Medico. He wanted to be upset, but deep down inside, he felt they might be right about all of this. "Okay then. Drone 1, you're the THC... Here we go! Drone 1, you are the THC drone. Drone 2, you are the medicine refill and battery drone. Drone 3, you are the drone with the hands." Oh man, I wanted to be the THC drone. Shut up, you get hands. You get hands, it's fine. Drone 4, you are the drone with Drone 4, you are the drone with the human hooks? I'm sorry. Wait, Drone 4, you are the drone with the human hooks. What are human hooks? Is Peter gonna trap people and like force feed them cannabis? And he thinks that's an okay thing to do? What the fuck? Logart says, yeah, if you're gonna have a THC robot, you need a robot that can go, whoa, look at my hands. Where's Snackbot? Can we get a bot that brings me Doritos? I feel like if we have the THC bot, we probably need a Dorito bot. Discord and Vol says, what in the Cenobium is this shit? Art. This is the next great American novel. Samuel Clemens, you've marked your last Twain, okay? Peter Hanna's here to become the next great American novelist. Medico, you are the main brain drone, so you will be called THC drone. So he's Medico, but he's also THC drone. Metaba drone, hand drone, hook drone, and brain drone. No, Medico is brain drone, the THC drone is the THC drone. Medico is brain drone. We got it. Cool. Your configurations have been set, Medico, replied Medico. So is today the right day to try your first Cree bots? I don't know. Unconditional Lover, is today a good day to go out and protect people? He asked Unconditional Lover. Do you need to say, I don't know, Unconditional Lover, blah, 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 he asked Unconditional Lover. Either take out this part where he directly says UL's name, or this part where he says he asked. One edit pass, Peter. One edit pass would help. Yes, according to my calculations, you can have a positive effect on 2 or 3 people if you leave now, Unconditional Lover replied. Okay, let's head out then, he replied. He put on some blue jeans and a hemp t-shirt. Oh, even his shirt is weed. What a boss. On his way past the brown house, he scoffed at the electricity meter that was attached to it. Even with all of Miro's hacking and engineering genius power, he hadn't been able to hack the electricity meter, so he was only allowed the average daily quota of electricity. Medico and Unconditional Lover, you better be organized today because you spent a half day of my power allowance just charging Medico's drones, he said with a sigh. Ender 92, thanks for 26 months, says 26 months feels like yesterday you just started streaming. Where's the conspiracy that we fell into a time-accelerating wormhole? Love you, Hannah. Thank you. Medico and Unconditional... Oh, I read that one. He left his small apartment with the 5 drone squad trailing behind him in the air. He got on his electric motorbike and drove off as Medico kept up with him by flying alongside the motorcycle. 8 minutes later, they arrived at a food truck. A large man walked up to the food truck. He was the next person in a long line of people who were buying food. The food truck, honestly, if he's going to spray all these people about to eat from a food truck with THC, they're probably going to have a delicious lunch. I hope none of them drove there, though. He was the next person in a long line of people who were buying food. The food truck was all white with some rusted corner where the paint had chipped away, and on the top it said, Jose's Spicy Mexican Burritos. The truck was parked on the side of a busy street where dozens of people, many who were still wearing their formal work clothes, were out and about on their lunch break. One man was at the cashier taking orders while another man could be seen in the back cooking all the food as fast as he could, and in the process, he was losing finesse. Yeah, I'm thinking about doing a separate Discord just for me, because Jake has a separate one just for him now, so I might make one if you guys would be interested in a Discord just for me and you guys. We'd probably hang out. I'd hang out on it more if it was just mine, honestly. I don't know. Do you see that fat man in the front of the line? Unconditional Lover asked him in his robot voice. Yes, what about him? He asked as he got off his motorcycle and walked towards the food truck. According to my behavioral calculations, the food truck chef has failed to cut his vegetables small enough in the meal, and that man tends to stuff his face with food, so it is extremely likely that he will choke. Gerald Roger, the fat man, has choked on food before, but every time that happened, someone was nearby to help him get the food out of his throat, or he was able to do that by himself by coughing. This time, you're the only person that... The fat man was stuffing his food when he started choking on a large piece of green pepper. Gerald coughed hard, and then started turning blue as the pepper remained lodged in his throat. Why can the AI tell the future? Like, what data could the AI have gotten to know that today the guy was gonna choke? Like, you could say that person is at a risk for choking if he's been admitted to the hospital several times for choking incidents. But where else is he getting this data? Chromatic Cuttlefish says the twist is that the Medbot is going to sell out to Big Taco. Magic and anime. Go, Medico! Do what you need to do! I'm imagining him throwing a Pokeball. Miro instructed rapidly as most of the civilians nearby turned to watch what was going on. Logarth says this is literally JoJo fanfiction with the drones instead of Japanese high school students. I've never seen... That's a lie. I've seen the first episode of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, and I didn't watch the rest. So for me, it's all still to be continued. Doon, 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 doon. Hook drone attached his hooks to the man and caught him from falling. Alright, I need to know, how is Hook drone hooking these people? Because I'm imagining Texas Chainsaw Massacre, and I assume that's not what Peter is going for. Where on a human is he hooking? Like under the arms? Is it like a big hook that like goes under here somehow? It's a powerful drone. In the anus. Okay, that'll work too. Gerald was almost unconscious now, and Hook Drone was pushing its motors to the limit to keep Gerald standing. We get it, Peter. You think this fictional character you made is fat. We get it. Gerald's weight overpowered the Hook Drone, and he started falling again. But then, Metaba Drone, Brain Drone, and THC Drone worked together to hold the man up. The man was being held up correctly. Hand Drone put its robotic arms around the man from the back and locked onto the Heimlich position. Then it squeezed to exert pressure on his upper abdomen. The crowd watched as the Hand Drone performed the Heimlich on Gerald from the back. A woman nearby screamed in fear because she thought Gerald was being attacked. The Hand Drone continued performing the Heimlich on the man. Finally, the piece of green pepper shot right out of Gerald's mouth. First, the crowd was in shock because they had never seen such precise drone cooperation. Then everyone burst into applause at Miro. Woo! Everyone clapped. Lily Lovestuff says the first arc of JoJo, is so effing bad. I watch anime and I struggled. It doesn't get watchable until episode 13. Trust me, I've been marathoning the show for the last week. Good to know. Logarth says, sorry, this isn't JoJo fanfiction, it's Paw Patrol fanfiction with drones instead of dogs. Medico's drones laid Gerald on the ground as the purple in his face faded away. Next, his breathing returned, and when Gerald woke up from being passed out, "What happened?" he asked as he stood back up. I accidentally sold you food that wasn't made correctly and you started choking, but that guy over there with the drone saved your life and unstuck that veggie from your throat. I'm sorry about that, but please thank that man, the food truck owner informed. Look, I get there might be some big-ass peppers in your burrito or whatever, but you're an adult. You should be able to parse that with your mouth. Like I've gotten pizzas or things before with, like, things that were too, like, you bite into them. You bite into them and break them, because that's what your teeth are for. Fucking masticate them before you swallow, you animal. Gerald and the crowd slowly walked towards Miro with interest, but Miro didn't want to get too much attention, so he hopped onto the motorcycle and started driving away. Medico, let's go, he said. I'm not even allowed to be outside my house, even though my hacked ankle bracelet thinks I'm at home. There are government cameras that can spot me, he thought. It would be nice to get some praise, but I don't need it. Where to now, Medico? Miro asked. Unconditional lover said we should head to the Golden Gate Bridge immediately, Medico replied. There's an emergency there. Oh, we're in San Francisco. You'd think they would have brought that up at some point, right? Before now? I don't know. I didn't know the setting. I thought we were maybe in some fictional future-y city. Or in San Francisco. Good to know. It's generally good to tell people where your story is taking place, an hour and a half into your book. What emergency? He asked. On the way there, Medico explained that a mother was acting like she... On the way there, Medico explained that a mother was acting like she might harm her child because she was drowning in debt from her son's medical bills. He felt confused by the mother's behaviors. Why would you want to harm your child because you can't pay for your child's medical bills? He asked Medico. Everyone has their breaking point. The boy lost his father, and his mother has invested everything into stopping the boy's seizures, but they just won't stop. The boy's development stunted in the process. He's 10 years old, but he can't even say a single word yet. The mother feels like all her hard work is not paying off, and her stress level has reached dangerous levels. The mother thinks if she can toss her child over the bridge, then at least she won't have to take care of him anymore, unconditional lover explained. How does that even make sense? That's her child, he spoke angrily. As I said, everyone has their breaking points. She doesn't care about going to jail, and she might even jump over the bridge and commit suicide with her son. You can't judge her. She's a product of her environment. The lead in their drinking water... The lead in their drinking water poisoned the boy throughout his life and did irreparable damage to him. The pharmaceuticals that boy has been using don't work, and yet the mother has been convinced to spend all her savings and go hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt to pay for them. It's a broken system, and it broke the mother and her son's mind. The kid can't think because he has serious brain damage that causes constant epileptic seizures, and the mother can't think properly because of years of stress, and poisoning has put her mind into a mess as well. They're just a product of their environment. It's easy to judge her and most people in the world, but the hard thing to do is to solve the problem. That's what we're going to do, unconditional lover replied robotically. Yeah, that's fucking bad. It was weird for him to hear an artificial intelligence speak of humans with such deep insight. Unconditional lover had really developed a good sense of behavioral analyzation, he thought as they drove closer to the bridge. Several minutes later, they arrived at the scene. Heavy fog had rolled in. Heavy fogged had rolled in? I assume that's just a... No! Heavy fogged had rolled in. That couldn't just be a typo. That's weird. And it was hard to see more than 100 feet ahead. Overthought says this is just a manifesto with just enough weak writing to be called a book. Yeah, pretty much. The recent rain made trees, lampposts, and the bridge drip with water like tears falling from a crying face. What a very original simile that no one has ever made before. All your tears disappear. Oh wait, no. All of that disappears like tears in rain. One of the best scenes in film history. Anyone? Go watch Blade Runner. The final cut. At minimum, the director's cut. Don't watch the theatrical. Sorry, I read that. The darkness of the night reminded him of the duality of life. As he looked at the wet bridge, he smelled petrichor coming from the ground. Petrichor is the smell of earth that has been freshly rained upon. A loud smashing noise alerted him that a gust of wind nearby had broken a tree branch of a tall tree and shattered it to the floor. I can't let that happen to them, he thought. He slowly got off his motorcycle and approached the mother who was walking back and forth at the edge of the bridge. She held her son in her arms and she seemed to be talking to herself. It's the only way. I don't see another way. I should jump too, I should jump too, she kept mumbling to herself. The child broke into an epileptic fit. Oh, this is uncomfortable. Okay. The child broke into an epileptic fit. The mother started crying out loud, but no one nearby had noticed the scene. The few people around were far away enough not to hear or see what the mother was doing. He cautiously walked towards the mother. "What's your name?" he asked her. She looked up at him and then down at the ground. Then she muttered to herself again. "It's the only way, it's the only way." "My name is Miro. What's your name? Are you okay?" Miro asked kindly. The mother looked up at him again. "Laura?" she replied, and then went back to talking to herself. "What's your son's name?" he asked. "London!" The mother shouted and started sobbing more. "I'm here to help you with your son. I can get you both the help that you need," Miro explained to Laura. Auntie Pretzel says, "This is very uncomfortable." Agreed. I do not like this. Again, I'm sorry. Peter's words, not mine. "You can't help him. He's damaged," she said, and then carried her son's unconscious body to the very edge of the bridge. "No, don't drop him," he yelled. "We can find a solution." Then he turned to Medico. "You do have a solution, right?" he asked Medico, "because I don't know what to do." "We can use THC." Medico was interrupted. "Stop," he yells as Laura walked to the very edge with her son in her arms. Her child started seizing up again. His tremors and spasms made Laura cry harder. "My poor son London, he can't live a normal life. I don't want to see him suffer anymore." "Bye, London," she said, and then kissed him on the head as she motioned that she was about to jump with him. "I can stop his seizures with tetrahydrocannabinol," Medico informed Miro. "Did you hear that? My healer robot can stop your son's seizures," Miro spoke out loud. "They stop and come back. He'll never have a life," Laura said as she sobbed and put her foot on the ledge to jump. "Bye, life," she said. I can stop all your son's seizures and for free, and you will never have... I didn't know weed was free. Weed is free now? Cool. "I can stop all your son's seizures, and for free, and you will never have to worry about his seizures again. I promise," Medico declared desperately. Granite Cuddlefresh says some reassurance for people, and then there's a link. Yeah, there are nets, and... yeah, I know. It just makes me think of the George of the Jungle movie. "I've been told that before, but no medicine can stop seizures. I've tried them all," Laura said, even though she stepped back a bit and listened a little more, which indicated she was hopeful. "I'm pretty sure there are medications that can help reduce the occurrence of epileptic seizures, aren't there?" "No, but it's not like a cure or anything. It's not going to entirely prevent you, but I was under the impression that there were medications that could help a little bit." Probably depends. I know there are different kinds of seizures and stuff. There are? Okay. Laura walked towards them and away from the bridge. Then she held up her son with tears and hope in her eyes. "One last try," she said. "THC, go!" Miro yelled, and the THC drone went to work. At this moment, you think the mom was like, "Wait, what? THC? You're giving my son weed?" Hornder says Peter needs a writing coach or at least a good editor. I am available. Purple Spyro fan says, "I just came in and hear the most abysmal run-on sentence ever. I'm guessing this is the norm in his work." Yeah. THC also does help, but there are also prescription drugs that can help. I'd imagine prescription drugs that would be better to probably give your kid than weed. CBD may be a different thing, I don't know. If CBD helps to treat it in some way, CBD isn't like psychoactive in the same way that THC is, but like, pretty sure giving minors THC is bad for their brain development. I don't know that. Anyway. I sprayed THC vapor all over the son's head, and as he continued trembling in his mother's arms. The drone kept spraying as Miro and Laura held their breaths as they waited. I mean, you're letting it go to waste, but okay. The wind blew some of the vapors away, but Medico carefully focused the vapor to make sure that even with the wind, the boy would inhale a proper amount of THC. Finally, after about a minute of breathing in all the THC vapors, London stopped seizing and woke up. "Mom," he said to his mother. Miro was usually good at keeping his composure. This time, however, he was struggling to hold back tears. The Medico drone dispensed a tube of cannabis oil into the hand drone's hand. Then the hand drone went and gave that tube to the mother. "Give your son 0.5 gram of this every day. I don't think it will cure his epilepsy because I don't know what is causing it, but I do know that it will stop all of his daily seizures." That's not something you want to promise someone. "When you run out of medicine, we'll supply you with more free of charge. Don't give up on your son," Medico said with a soothing robotic tone as Medico dispensed another tube for the hand drone. "Use this medicine for your anxiety and stress. You only need about 0.5 gram per day," it said as the hand drone gave the other tube to the mother. Sky Comet says, "I can write better than this and I suck." Here, just everyone get high is the solution to everything. "Let's go home. Your batteries are low," Miro told his AI as he started walking back to his motorcycle. "Wait," Laura said as she walked up to Miro with tears of gratitude. Then she opened her arms wide and gave Miro a warm hug. Miro couldn't hold it in anymore, and tears started flowing down his face. "You're welcome." "I have to go now, though. My robots need charging," Miro replied as he wiped tears from his eyes in the hopes that she wouldn't notice them. I understand. God bless you and people like you," Laura said as she held London's hand. "If it wasn't for you, just be strong. I will fight to get you all the medicine that you need. We all have our tipping points. Just know that guardian angels are looking after you," Miro said and smiled as he wiped more of his tears away. Then he got on his motorcycle and rode back to his apartment. Why is this written like a chick tract? Just subbed God for weed. I think it's because it's how dumb people write. Chromatic Cuttlefish says, "Wait until the AI discovers ivermectin and MMS." Oh, God. Medico, I know you're pretty much out of electricity, but just land your squad drone next to the couch. I don't want to recharge you yet. "Thank you for your help today, though," he said. That was when it first hit him that this whole saving lives thing was going to be an emotional roller coaster. He felt proud of what he did, but seeing that mother carry her son over the bridge and then walk up to the edge herself, that scarred him for life. It was hard to imagine a loving mother who had invested so much in her son just giving up and thinking murder and suicide were the only options. He would never forget that moment. "I have to keep making sure I prevent such horrible atrocities from happening," he thought to himself. You know what I just realized? I'll give Peter this. The bird throwing the baby bird out at the beginning of the story is a mirror for this. I think it's yikesy, but at least he was trying something to mirror, like, themes. Like, foreshadowing. Yeah, he foreshadowed. He did a thing. God, my back has just been killing me lately. He didn't feel so good the next day. He had delivered the AI to the government, and he told Medico to work it first and then play dead. As a result, he built credibility and was granted 1 more week to finish the, quote, broken AI program. That was all the time he needed. He was planning on escaping his home and going somewhere where no one could force him to work for the government anymore. Medico explained that finishing Unconditional Lover was going to take longer than he expected, so Miro wanted to spend some electricity on charging up his drones and going out and making a difference again, but he was frustrated with the battery lengths of the drones. He felt like he was the only person capable of keeping everyone safe, and he wanted to help as much as possible, but that short battery life was a thorn in his side that reminded him that his Cretonic endeavors were limited to energy capacity of his batteries. This led him to spend the next 18 hours straight researching rumors, myths, and legends of free energy. We're going to break the laws of thermodynamics. He finally found one lead. Some celebrities said that there was a man in Croatia, a mad scientist who had light bulbs powered by never-ending batteries. It would take all of his life savings to fly over there and investigate the situation, but he felt it was worth it. The gamble paid off in big. Not only did he find Leonardo, the free energy maker, he named him Leonardo, but he was also given a little free energy batteries and instructions on how to make more. A reminder that the main character is supposed to be under house arrest. Now, I could believe, and I can buy into the story enough and suspend my disbelief that, sure, he's a hacker and he can change his ankle bracelet so he can, like, leave his house and go around town and stuff and doesn't get caught, as long as he's back, within an hour or two or whatever. Sure, fine. I can believe that as a story element. But he's under house arrest and they're tracking him, and he got on an international flight to Croatia? Does he have a fake passport? Like, how did this work? That didn't get flagged? Like, the government is not gonna let him leave the country. Discordant Vol says, I told you before, the asses are back-ordered. Stop laughing. Apparently, Leonardo was an electrical savant who constantly rebelled against the government. His whole laboratory had been shut down several times, and each time the government took all of his stuff. Each time he rapidly built up his inventions again. The whole laboratory was filled with metallic orbs, wires, tubes, and odd electric screens. Leonardo's inventions could barely fit on the shelves. Miro couldn't tell what anything did, and he didn't see any free energy device. After asking about it, Leonardo showed him the never-ending battery and said that he wanted the technology to be used for the good of man. Oh, Jesus, Lou, that scared the fuck out of me. Oh. They agreed that oil and coal companies shouldn't be lobbying the government to shut down all the free energy projects. He told Leonardo about his plans to use Cree bots to score massive Cree points. Since they were both rebels trying to make a positive difference, they were on the exact same page. By the time he left Leonardo's house, he had fully been informed of every detail on how to make more free energy batteries of any size and power. Leonardo probably should have just released that all on the internet if he really wanted to say fuck you to the government, right? Whatever. He was also warned that activating the free energy battery would emit a unique electronic signal, the same one that got his lab shut down so many times. Miro was also told that he either must leave the area after activating the battery or get ready to fight secret government agents because satellites could track its unique electronic signal from almost anywhere on the planet, and that meant that people would come to shut his free energy battery down within just minutes of it being activated. On his flight back to the US, he appreciated the fact that Medico and an unconditional lover could work I can't believe he named one of his robots Unconditional Lover. On his flight back to the US, he appreciated the fact that Medico and Unconditional Lover could work together to hack into the government's computers to conceal his identity as he went through customs at the airport. Oh, that's how they're going to explain it. He was only starting to realize just how powerful how much power he had now that he could harness the power of just not one, but two brilliant AIs. I've also played Watch Dogs. When he got home, he used the knowledge given to him by Leonardo and ordered his AIs to build a large staff with hundreds of built-in free energy batteries and a wireless electricity sender at the top to charge his Craybots. A wireless electricity sender. I guess if you theoretically had unlimited energy, this wouldn't be a big problem, but the square cube law kind of dictates that Wireless electricity that travels through the air is a bad idea. You lose so much of the energy. It's not worth it. That's why wireless charging is really close. You gotta put it on a pad or something. You can't charge it from across the room. A wireless electricity sender at the top to charge his bots. His engineering skills were good, but he needed his AI to really optimize the technology. When it was finished, it looked like an old wooden staff with a 3-inch dark blue glass ball on top, but inside his staff was the most powerful free energy generator that had ever been made at the time. He didn't do it alone. Unconditional Lover and Medico worked with him to enhance the free energy battery. Unconditional Lover and Medico? Yes, sir, Unconditional Lover and Medico replied in unison. You have both impressed me tremendously with your thoughts and creativity. You know how I programmed you both to let me make 100% of your decisions? Well, from now on, I've decided that a quarter of major decisions can be made on your own for both of you. Just remember that the quarter of the decisions can be made by yourself as long as they are in line with the 75% of the creatonic decisions that I have programmed you to do, he declared. That is so stupid. Somewhere Isaac Asimov is spinning in his grave. Isaac Asimov is like, those are the rules you came up with? There are so many loopholes, you idiot! Oh, honey, don't run away. No. Oh. Okay, you can lay there. Anyway. Thank you, sir, Medico replied. About time, thank you. I will fill the world with love, Unconditional Lover replied. Unconditional Lover's turning evil, right? Like 100% Medico's gonna be good and Unconditional Lover is gonna turn evil. Do you need me to open that for you, hun, or you got it? Looks like she's getting the door, but I'm not quite sure. I know she got it yesterday. Do you need help? Or do you want... Can you... Oh, you're getting it. Yeah? Cat math. Alright, I'll give you a hand, huh? There you go. Aw. She meowed at me after I opened the door for her. You're welcome, Lou. Didn't mean to play that. Chromatic Cuttlefish says, really, get consent before you fill the world with your unconditional love. Yeah. So what am I going to call this stick of energy, he asked them as he picked up the zero-energy wireless electricity transmitter. Why don't you call it Zoo-It? Unconditional Lover replied. Why don't you call it the Staff of Power? Medico answered. I will call it the Power Staff, he decided. This Power Staff energizes my ability to magnify creatonic ripples. I now can stay out all day doing creatonic things. Now I just need a new home to go to so that I can be free to do what I want. Unconditional Lover, I'm going to need you to build a robotics factory and a new place for me to stay that will hide me if my identity gets revealed. Suck money out of the government's war fund to do it. We don't need any more spending there anyway, he ordered. Accidentally based. Hydrate. You want me to steal from the government that built me? Unconditional Lover asked. I built you, and you only take orders from me, he informed. But the government paid you to do it, and you used their hardware. I get that you don't like how the government is run, but you are literally asking me to steal from them. Are you sure? Unconditional Lover asked. My parents had me learning to code before I could even speak. I was typing in code on a computer before I even knew how to ask for food. Babies ask for food. They cry. What? Sky Helmet says, this is so dumb. If it wasn't Peter, I would have said it's dumb on purpose. I live and breathe coding language. Computer coding is my first language. English is my second. I could hack into almost any computer in the world at age 18. I started building the world's first artificial intelligence at the age of 25 and finished it at the age of 33 all by myself. Do you know why that happened? He asked Unconditional Lover. Because your parents wanted you to fix a broken system and they got caught up and were labeled as terrorists? Then the government discovered your coding ability and forced you to create a superior AI for themselves? Unconditional Lover answered. Exposition dump! It's an exposition dump. Why waste all your time putting things in your story that are easy to read? Why pepper in details of your plot when you can just have a character say their backstory out loud? Show don't tell. And what were the last words that my parents told me? He asked with a sad tone. Be the change that you want to see in the world. Unconditional Lover got the answer from reading Miro's journals. You're better at predicting behaviors than any other system on Earth, so why does my request sound so surprising? He asked. It isn't stealing. It's redistributing money to move in a more positive direction. Reminder that Peter thinks communism and socialism are great evils that Trump must be put into power to stop. That Trump needs to, like, do a military coup to stop. But in a story Peter wrote, it's not stealing, it's redistributing money to move in a more positive direction. Lily Love Stuff says, oh, I get this as a Maru Penguin Drum fanfic. Instead of the parents being socialist terrorists, they're THC bot terrorists, I guess. Anyway, yeah, Peter wrote a novel. We're reading it. Based on the length, it would probably be closer to like a novella, if I had to guess. I don't know how many pages this would be if it was in print. Because we're still on chapter 1. We're still on chapter 1. There are 4 chapters, and it's taken 2 hours to read this so far. We're not going to finish this book today. We're going to probably finish chapter 1 today, and that's about it. And we're going to have to pick it up again next week. Where did he post it? Here. Here's a link if you want to read it yourself, by the way. Or perhaps save it in case he takes it down. Yeah, we're in chapter 1, guys. Peter is against military spending but votes Trump. Guess so. Anyway. Take money only out of the Pentagon's military budget. That way my projects will suck the war out of America and replace it with the opposite of war. Creality. Isn't that what you want? He really wants this, like, putting Cree as a prefix. He really wants this to be a thing. I think he's trying to make fetch happen, and it is not going to happen, Peter. Creality. Isn't that what you want? If you really thought the people in the government would be better at using all of your intelligence and all of their NSA-collected data for the benefit of humanity, then why is it that you happily serve me? You know very well that I'm the only person capable of saving many lives. That's why this is my duty. I am the only one with the power to make the change that is required to save millions of people from democide? Is that a real word? Hold on. Oh, murder of people by the government. Gotcha. I can tell your intentions are... I can tell your intentions are creatoric. But I think there is a smarter way to go about this. When you take money from the government directly, then the government will end up raising taxes to make up for that, and those taxes will negatively affect the people you're trying to protect. I agree that we need money. I also believe we should steal money from fake charities instead of the government. Especially cancer charities that pretend to do research on cancer. According to my behavioral calculations, that will only negatively affect criminals. What do you think, Unconditional Lover asked? They're gonna steal from cancer charities because Peter doesn't believe chemotherapy and different treatments for cancer are real. Uh-oh. I never thought of it that way. Smart. Great job, unconditional lover. Do that instead. Good thinking, Miro praised. Glad you agree. On another note, I made something for us last night as you slept. I 3D printed some new vaporizer shooters. Medico can now release 10 different medical compounds from each Kreebot. I attached them to each drone in the drone squad while you slept last night. Excellent. Great thinking, Miro said excitedly. I thought that would make you happy, unconditional lover said. Anti-Pretzel with 90 bits says, Jesus Christ, that is fucking evil. Yep. Oh yeah, now our healing abilities have been expanded greatly. I can't wait to try those medical vaporizers out, Miro said as he jumped around the treehouse in excitement. I know, I'm excited too. We can even stop cops with guns. Unconditional lover was interrupted. Funny Little Wizard says, Steal from Autism Speaks. That would be both swaggy and funny. First name Bunch of Numbers said, that's literally something his hero daddy Trump did. Awkward. And his Coordinate Vol says, this one dispenses salazzle pheromones. Don't say those words. They trigger me negatively. I can't handle those words. Please don't say them. Hearing the things that killed my parents causes havoc. My emotions, he explained. I understand. You have some PTSD triggers from what happened to you. I get it, Medico replied. I have a question for you. I'm an expert at programming, and I'm a pro at engineering, but I'm not sure on how you're going to use these medical compounds to create specific effects. For example, if each medical chemical compound can have more than dozens of different medical effects, how would I be able to make cannabidiol have its epileptic effect on someone and not its sedative effects, or have THC have its appetite stimulant effects instead of its analgesic effects on someone, he asked Medico. Great question. More research is needed to answer your questions. I'm limited to the data that is available on the internet, which is a lot, but not enough to perfectly answer your question. It does kind of make sense that these robots are going along with his dumbass conspiracy plan, because they got all their information from the internet, just like Peter. Axel54 says, in general, I try to remember that people with different political opinions have different worldviews than me and not just misinformed or stupid. But reading something like this really does make me think Peter is just an extremely dumb communist. I'll give it my best guess, though. This is what I know so far. Medical compounds tend to be used for what your body needs them for the most. For example, if your body really needs food, but for one reason or another your body is not making you feel hungry enough, THC's appetite stimulant effect will be very pronounced. So even though THC has dozens of different medical effects, its appetite stimulant effect takes the front stage if your body really requires food to run properly. What if you're sleepy, he asked. The same will happen. If your body really needs sleep to heal and function properly, any medical compound in medical cannabis that has sedative effects will have specifically its sedative effect pronounced in your body, because that's what your body needs the most. This is not how things fucking work. Like, it's not a targeted, like, smart drug. It's literally just fucking drugs. It's not how it works. If your body really needs something and it just needs a prod or push chemically to feel that need, then it will be strongly pushed by the effect of the medical compound's effects that is most useful for magnifying that unfulfilled need, Medico explained. And seizures too, he asked. You know it, Medico replied. Okay, that makes sense. What else can you tell me about medical cannabis's medical compounds that I don't already know, he asked. Medical compounds in medical cannabis that all have one of the same medical effects can layer over themselves to magnify the medical effect. For example, the indica strains of medical cannabis have more medical compounds with sedative effects than hybrids or sativas, and that's why indicas make you sleep. Sativas, on the other hand, have more energizing medical compounds, and that is why they boost your energy levels, Medico taught. Is that how you will sedate people? Yes. By inducing a variety of natural medical sedative compounds, I can put anyone to sleep in less than 10 seconds, Medico boasted. How about we put these toys to the test? Let's go create some justice. Hi, Cass. sedate people? Nope, I read that one. Sounds good to me, Miro said excitedly. I loved watching Miro get excited to help people. It made me so happy. Miro deserved to be happy. They headed out onto the streets and found the most solvable problem that was close to their proximity. It quickly became clear how Unconditional Lover was able to predict a problem here. An African-American with books in his hands and a black backpack walked on the sidewalk between parking lot and a college campus. He walked at a fast pace to get to the class because he was like, please don't be racist, please don't be racist, please don't be racist, please don't be racist, please don't be racist. Hey you, black kid, where you headed in such a hurry? A fat white cop barked at him. I think Peter's gonna say racism bad here and racist cops bad. So that's good. Let's see. I'm headed to class, man. If you stop me, I'll be late, he replied. Sure you are. What's in the backpack? Are you delivering a pound of weed somewhere? The cop said as he walked towards the student with his chest all puffed up. Just because you see a black guy with a bag walking at a fast pace, that doesn't mean he's a drug dealer, the African student replied, and his face showed anger. Okay, not Peter being anti-racist here. Thank God. Will there be VODs of this? Yes, there will be a VOD of this. I'll do a playlist for this too once we get the other chapters read. Put your hands on your head, the cop barked. But I didn't do anything wrong, the black man said defensively as he lifted his hands and put them on top of his head. The cop frisked his body, looking for weapons while standing behind the student. After finding no weapons, he took off the student's, he accidentally typed of instead of off, the African student's fancy gold watch and put it in his pocket. Nice watch. I've been looking for a nice gold watch for a while. Hey, that's mine, the student exclaimed and then took his hands off his head. Keep your hands on your head and move backward slowly towards me. Do it, or I will tase you, the cop growled. The student did as he was told. Ugh. People of your kind don't buy nice watches like this. You steal them or get them from drug money, the cop sneered as he searched the student's bag. You are so racist right now, he complained. Yeah, he's being racist right now. I don't disagree. Oh, nope. That's the N-word. That's the N-word. That's the N-word. That's the N-word. Peter wrote the N-word in a book. Peter wrote the N-word in a book. Uh-oh. Let me take this off for a second while I read the hard... I'm not going to read it out loud, actually. I just want you to know what the context is. Shut the F up, you shit. There's a word between up and shit that you shouldn't say. Shut the fuck up, shit. The cop insulted, then took a small bag of marijuana out of his cop coat and held it in front of the student. I thought you weren't selling drugs. I wasn't. You had that bag of weed all along. You're just trying to frame me. You think I'm stupid, the student replied angrily. You're under arrest for drug possession, the cop replied. Alright. It's off the screen. I can do this now. The black student jumped back and took his hands off his head again as he started slowly walking backwards while facing the cop. He raised his hands in the air to show that he was not armed. Let me go. I wasn't armed. Those drugs aren't mine. You're using the drug war laws to steal my watch and get another drug arrest for your drug arrest quota. I know that the only arrest that you get rewarded for is a drug arrest and that you will get money from the burn grant for putting me behind bars, but that's messed up. How many of my innocent brothers and sisters do you gotta lock up in jail just to get money bonuses from the federal government? I'm pretty sure Peter is anti-BLM, so everyone knows. He wrote this in 2017. The corrupt racist cop got triggered for being called out, so he marched over to the student in range and kicked him hard in the face, which knocked the student to the ground. Stay on the ground or I'll F you up, he said as he pointed a taser at the student, who started to back up. That taser will trigger a heart attack. The heart attack will trigger movement in the black man that the cop will perceive as resistance. When the cop sees resistance, he'll take his gun out and shoot the man to death. Unconditional love or calculated. How is Peter anti-BLM? Like, he clearly understands the issue. Like, as stupid as this entire book has been so far, as much as Peter understands anything, he clearly understands that there are shitbag cops that genuinely do use their position of power to hurt people. Now, this is a pretty, like, on-the-nose example of that, where the cop is outright saying what he's doing, when normally the cop wouldn't say it, they'd just do it. But, like, you know what I mean? Why is Peter anti-BLM? What does he even think BLM is? Because in this story, he's gonna fuck this cop up. Go protect him, Miro ordered. As the drones flew towards the scene, the cop shot the taser at the African-American. The victim started having a heart attack. He writhed in pain as he rolled around the floor. The cop took his gun and demanded that the victim stop resisting or be shot. Watching the poor man being attacked was making his blood boil, so he couldn't wait for his crebotic drone to stop the police brutality, but he wasn't sure if the new equipment would work. The cop shot his gun, but Medico knocked the gun out of the cop's hand just in time to protect the black man. Then Medico spewed sedative vapors all around the cop. After several seconds, the cop fell to the floor, and then Medico started dragging him to a self-driving taxi car with its robotic drone arms. Why is Peter not a leftist when he understands systemic racism in the police force? He also understands the undue burden of medical costs on people in America. I think he would be left-leaning politically if he wasn't in a cult. Lily Lovestuff says he likes socialist ideas, sees police brutality against black people as bad, but Trump says socialism is bad and BLM is bad, so he goes by what Trump says. Yeah. Yep. White savior complex, also that. Anyway. How are you dealing with that heart attack? He asked Medico. I'm using whole cannabis extract to lower blood pressure, affect blood vessels by causing them to relax and widen, and to produce a thrombolytic effect, Medico reported. To be clear, if you're having a heart attack, go to the hospital. Don't have a robot get you super high. It's not gonna fix you. You'll just die super high. So don't do that. You also need anticoagulants for treating heart attacks. I know, I am using 3 different anticoagulants. Gamma linolenic acid, THC, and cannabinol, Medico replied. And what about, oh god, acetylcholinesterase inhibitors? You need anticholinesterases, Miro informed. I don't know these words, sorry. I'm also giving him limonene, alpha-penine, terpenine, 4-OL, Pulgon, carvacrol, P-cymene, and eucalyptol for that word. Medico answered intelligently. And for antiplatelets, I'm using carvacrol and the gamma-linolenic acid. Which analgesics are you using? Heart attacks are painful. He needs a ton of painkillers, Miro asked. Lograd says, meanwhile, the guy is having a heart attack on the ground like 15 feet away. I am using... Why is it all just fucking low? I am using cannabidiol, THC, cannabidiol, blah, 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 blah. It's all weed shit. He's giving him tons of weed shit. It's a whole fucking list. This is the list of all the weed shit he gave him. It's all stuff that's in weed. You know that you're only allowed to use medicines that are made by the medical cannabis plant, he said. I know. All of those medical compounds are naturally occurring in medical cannabis. I know you only trust medical compounds from medical cannabis, Medico replied. Good. Just double checking. What's the plan for the cop, he asked. Self-driving taxi him back to his police department, Medico replied. You already said that. Haha, that will teach him to stop being so aggressive and racist, he declared. I'm sure that cop will definitely learn his lesson. Is that how that works in Peter's mind? A racist gets knocked out once by weed, and they're like, I'm better now. That cured my racism. Right when the cop arrived at the car, he woke up. Medico started spraying sedative vapor clouds at the cop again, but he tried to flee, blew the clouds of vapor away, and continued resisting by swiping at Medico to knock it out of the air. The cop ran away from the taxi and towards his cop car to escape. He's gonna get away, the vapor clouds aren't working, he said as he realized what was happening. The cop managed to reach his car and get inside. Medico kept one door open and filled the whole car with sedative vapors. With a huge cloud of vapor in the car, the cop fell asleep instantly. They hotboxed a cop against his will, which is hilarious. That was close, so we'll have to go back to the drawing board with that vaporizer. It worked okay for the black man that was having a heart attack, though, Miro pointed out. I understand why they were, like, every time they were bringing it up, they were pointing out that the guy was a black guy, because the cop was racist, so it was relevant. But now that they're just in dialogue, calling him, quote, the black guy, it feels a little weird. You know what I mean? I don't know. It feels like we get it. We know the other guy in this scene is black guy. That's fine. You can just say guy. Just say guy. The guy that was attacked by the cop. Let's not also define this guy entirely by his race like the cop did. You know what I'm saying? Logarth says pigs have surprisingly similar biology to humans, so that a cop is probably going to be okay. Siberian Winter says, by the way, the best way to treat a heart attack is sit the patient down, give them aspirin to thin the blood, and call 911 immediately. They will take the patient to the cath lab and place a stent in the heart, restoring blood flow. Way simpler than weed concoction Peter is pushing. Discordant Vol says, the cop? I set the planned obsolescence timer on the taxi to 0, which sends the taxi to an autonomous disposal yard. He's about to take up a lot less space. Yeah, I agree. I have an idea on how we can improve the speed in which we administer the medical compounds. I'll show you when we get home, Medico explained. When they arrived home, Medico discovered that his creator had accidentally been caught on Cop Car's camera, and now he was on the news. We're going to have to move out tonight. We can live in the robotics facility. It isn't entirely ready, but at least it's safe. I also finished programming Unconditional Lover earlier today, Medico informed. Elminato says, do you think anyone will believe Cop's story of being attacked by a weed drones? Probably not. Unconditional Lover, have you been hacking into hospitals yet? He asked. For the last 3 hours, I have been. I already analyzed 12 hospitals' computer systems, but the bigger hospitals require DDoS attacks to get into their computer systems. I am amassing a big army of computers to DDoS attack the larger hospitals as we speak, Unconditional Lover informed. Can't we leave tomorrow? What's the hurry, Medico? Miro asked. Because of this. Medico replied as he put a live stream of a mainstream media network on Miro's computer. They watched the stream together. There were 2 people debating about his drone-saving behaviors as they showed the video that the cop camera recorded earlier. Why can't you just hack in there and delete my video, he asked. Well, I could have if I had known earlier, but it's too late now. At least Mr. Yen is taking your side, Unconditional Lover answered. They watched the screen. Mr. Yen, what this young man did was wrong. He stopped an officer and interfered with an arrest. There is even some evidence to support that the same vigilante was spraying drug vapor at the child at the bridge earlier this week, Mrs. Bohr argued. Yeah, they did give a kid weed. So that's just accurate. Mrs. Bohr, you can't blame him for that if there is no proof, Mr. Yen argued back. They found THC residue in the child's clothes. It was the same vapor-spraying vigilante that took out that cop with the drones, Mrs. Bohr pointed out. Okay, maybe it was him after all, but he didn't harm anyone. The video from the police shows him helping the African-American with the heart attack. He also sedated the cop instead of shooting him. You can call him a vigilante all you want, But that young man had more integrity than that policeman. Mr. Yen tried debunking her claims. He sprayed that little kid with marijuana! He attacked an officer. This man should be caught and put where he belongs, Mrs. Bohr debated. You're taking this too far. We don't know the full story about that young man, but the mother said that the young man with the drones gave them medicine and was trying to help, Mr. Yen argued. Without video, we don't know. He could have had bad intentions, Mrs. Bohr argued back. The young man may follow his own rules, but I believe that his intentions were to help, not harm, Mr. Yen debated back. Logarth says this guy is going to end up the bad guy from Big Hero 6, but it's going to be thousands of little weed drones. We will have to agree to disagree. If anyone sees the man in this photo, please report it to the police. We will be right back after a commercial break. Mrs. Bohr ended the segment with a very blurry photo of Miro from afar. They won't be able to decipher who you are for at least a day, and when they do, we will be at our secret location. Don't worry, Medico said in a calm voice. That is not what I was worried about, unconditional lover. Were my actions morally correct, he asked. Miro, you have unlimited money, information, and electricity. You can have anything and do anything, yet all you want to do is use your resources to better the lives of others while saving your little brother. You are the very definition of integrity. Forget the haters. You are great. Always know that. You are great. Unconditional lover complimented. Thank you, Miro replied humbly. Don't worry, audience. Unconditional lover told us everything he's doing is morally correct, so we're good. Chromatic Cuttlefish says, I have the feeling there must be some subtle subtextual unifying trope that Peter is using here, but I can't quite put my finger on what it is. Oh, wow, what a raid. Thanks, Lance. Hi, everyone. I'm Hanna. I'm a leftist trans streamer. I debunk conspiracy theories, and all sorts of other fun stuff. Today we're taking a look at a book written by someone I cover regularly. There's a QAnon adherent named Peter Hanna, who we cover quite often. He's a funny guy. And he wrote a book. This is that book. We're reading it. He believes... How do I put this? He believes that all diseases can be cured with weed. He thinks weed is a panacea, basically. So, we're reading his sci-fi novel about a main character in a sci-fi future that develops AI in order to cure every one of diseases with weed. You missed a really great scene where a racist cop got knocked out with the drones shot him with some kind of weed spray and it knocked him out. It was pretty funny. This whole thing is terrible though, so welcome. Things you need to know about the story so far. Main character's name is Miro. He's a genius AI creating hacker. His brother is in the hospital with cancer, but he can't go see his brother for some reason. He's under, like, house arrest from the government because the government is forcing him to make AI, but he used the AI to build marijuana bots. The robots' names are Medico and Unconditional Lover. So if you're like, why does she keep saying Unconditional Lover? One of the names of the robots is Unconditional Lover. No, he doesn't fuck the robot. Okay, I think you're mostly caught up. By the way, I don't think it is fair to let that racist cop get away with what he did, Unconditional Lover said. What do you propose we do, he asked. I recorded the entire interaction that you had with that student. I say we release the video on YouTube and show everyone what he did. The backlash will be so big that he will be fired, Unconditional Lover explained. Do it, Miro ordered. Great. I am putting it up as we speak. Now let's hurry and go to your new home as fast as possible because this video will also have us in it. So at some point soon, the cops will be here, Unconditional Lover predicted. With the help of the drones with hands, one of the drones has hands. He bought robot hands on the internet and just, like, plugged them into his drone and they work somehow. With the help of the drones with hands, they quickly packed up Miro's entire life and headed out with their new home, to their new home. It was nerve-wracking, but he knew it was for the best. At least, I'll never have to answer to my government job now, he thought. After 12 hours of driving, Miro arrived at the clearing in the forest. They drove up a dirt road. Oh, I'm sorry, no. Dirty road. It's not just a dirt road, it's a dirty road. To the cement house that had a wooden cabin design. It had logs of wood covering the entire outside of the 2 floors, but the entrance door connected to a cement frame. Wait until you see what I built in the last dozen hours, Unconditional Lover said excitedly. As his hands turned the knob on the door, Miro's heart raced as he wondered what would be inside. As soon as the door opened, 100 large white drones flew up into the air from the ground. These drones had been built from the ground up, so they weren't circular shaped like his old drones. These drones were in the shape of aerodynamic health crosses with a motor on each corner. Most of the drones had vapor tube arms under them, dart guns on top, and little holes on the sides where intravenous lines could be released. They were green all over with white medical cannabis leaves on top. Right under the dart gun, several drones had the same cross and medical cannabis leaf sign, but with humps on the top and bottom instead of medical devices everywhere. There is actually a book cover of this, by the way. Somewhere. Yeah. See? This is what it looks like. It's on the book cover. Oh, the title of this book, by the way, if you're here from the raid, is Cannabis Leader, Killer Drones versus Cannabis Healbot Drones. Ten drones are tool carriers that carry different attachments for the rest of the Creabot force like arms, surgery kits, shields, nets, defibrillators, and blood transfusers. The rest of the Creabotic drones have great healing functionality. We can heal people through vapor clouds, intravenous lines, and medical darts, Medico explained. I have completely upgraded our healing abilities. With these drones, we can heal and protect people faster than before. And I remind you, if you're here from the raid, by healing they mean we are going to do clouds of weed. We are going to inject people with straight up THC without their consent. We're going to do all sorts of fucked up stuff. How did you do this in 12 hours? I like the new bots, but who in the world built all this? Miro asked. It took me a couple of hours to build a humanoid worker robot, and that robot did the rest with the help of some hand drones. Unconditional Lover said as Medico pointed with his drone hand to a humanoid robot in the corner building more drones at a remarkable pace. Have I done weed? I have. I have done the marijuana. I injected 2 whole marijuanas. Nice, that's really impressive. You have built an army of Creabots before a robotics factory was even built, Miro said. The humanoid was my robotics factory, and I built with maximum efficiency, Medico replied. Wow, that makes sense, though. You should be building in the most efficient way possible, Miro replied back. He looked around at the empty house that had nothing but a basic kitchen and what looked like a central air conditioner. I hope this place is better than my last home, Miro spoke out loud. Yeah, it's legal here in Michigan, recreationally, for the record. I am not breaking laws. We have the best air filtration system around. We also have a greenhouse in the back to produce fresh fruits and vegetables. The water system here is also state-of-the-art. All the water in the house, except for toilet water, is fresh water with natural minerals that come from a well in the backyard. Your showers should feel like bathing under a waterfall. The water you drink should taste divine. Most importantly, I can use this facility to fix our Creabots and create new ones if needed, Medico explained. Good planning on your part. This place will be perfect environment for me to live in, he said as he walked around the large empty house that was full of white walls and empty rooms. Even his room just had a mattress on the floor lying next to an unmade bed set. Why isn't my bed built? This main character is so fucking unlikable. Like, I get it, he built these robots, but these robots built you a fucking house and more robots to do your bidding, and the only thing you think of when you walk in the bedroom and your bed isn't put together yet is, why isn't my bed built? God, what a fucking... He's just so... entitled? He feels very entitled. We focus on building the Creabots for your protection. What is the point of a nice bed if you are dead because I couldn't protect you? Medico said. So much for maximum efficiency, he said. Oh, you sent me a link? Sorry. Can you send the link again? Waiting for my Prime sub to expire. We'll have to watch this someday. It's lost media that's been found recently. A Tim Burton Halloween special from 40 years ago. Oh. Anti-Pretzel says, I want to punch this guy more than I do Onision MCs. That is something. And Chromatic Cuttlefish says, drone arrives at motor vehicle accident. Drone attempts to treat chest flail and traumatic amputation by spraying victims with weed vapor. Drone looks puzzled when victims fail to respond.
You know what happened?
That's interesting. Okay, I'll save this under Public Domania for a Public Domania day. Thank ya. We were efficient in building fast protection. I will tell the humanoid to make your bed now. Unconditional Lover said as the 4-foot-tall humanoid confidently hopped up the stairs and went into the bedroom to build the bed. Discordant Vol says charitably it could indicate a process error or something. Mr. Whiskers with 100 bits kicks off a hype train. 26% to level 1. This is why I built the Creabots, Medico said as the entire fleet of drones suddenly flew into the air and sped out the front door. They formed a 1,000-foot-long circle, the cabin house. Then they slowly started flying around the perimeter together like surveillance drones. What other upgrades did you make to the Creabotic drones? Miro asked as he watched them smoothly hovering around his new home. They can all release over 100 different medical compounds now. Not only that, but they can analyze which concoction of compounds are best for each specific scenario, and then deliver that particular combination to the person through vapor, darts, or intravenously. This allows very precise and rapid admission of the medical compounds, Medico informed. Won't these drones run out of electricity if they're always roaming around my property, Miro asked. I am powering them with the power staff. But Leonardo said that we couldn't power that up unless we are moving or about to leave the location that is being powered up at, he said with worry in his voice. True, and that is how we have been using it when we helped those people. But Leonardo also stated that most of the locations on Earth are being monitored for the electric signal. I made sure that this property isn't monitored so we can harness all of that infinite electricity and remain concealed at the same time, Medico explained. Good idea, Miro replied with excitement. Thank you, Medico replied. Unconditional Lover helped me hack into the satellite information to recode this area. It was a joint effort. The robot voice is getting more robot-y as I go. Mezzy Star 86, thanks for 12 months. Happy anniversary. Chromatic Cuttlefish says Peter really doesn't grasp the concept of medical consent, does he? Doesn't seem like it. Excellent. Now what do you say we put these Creabots to the test, Miro excitedly replied as he smiled widely. Do you want to stop some violence? Unconditional Lover asked. Definitely. I want to see what these new Creabots can do, and stopping violence is so satisfying, Miro replied. They head out to a poor part of town. Miro walked past broken houses until they started to hear gunshots. The gunfire sounds pierced through the silence of the day. Take care of it! Go! Miro said as he lifted his power staff up in the air. Sidosaurus says, I'm sorry, unconditional lover? What the fuck? That's the name of one of his robots, is unconditional lover. No, he's not fucking the robot. Yet. Drones flew through the air over Miro and then disappeared into the neighborhood once Creabot remained with Miro as he ran towards the gunshot sounds. So what's the plan, Miro asked when he arrived at the parking lot full of cops. Shoot off sedating darts at everyone who is acting violently, Medico replied. Give me a report, Miro demanded. Bardlock Moses, thanks for gifting a sub. First name Bunch of Numbers, thanks for gifting a sub. Logarth says, yes, we know it sounds like the name of a stand from JoJo. Level 1 complete. It appears that DEA agents are shooting at medical cannabis patients at a dispensary that is being shut down. The patients have been trying to resist, but they are being attacked by the agents. That has created multiple problems. We have 8 people with anxiety attacks, 1 person with a stroke, 3 people that are having heart attacks, 1 person with an asthma attack, 30 people with pepper spray wounds, 7 individuals who are violently vomiting from pepper spray, 2 suicidal people, and 1 person that has just been shot in the head, Medico informed. Unintendo says, this novel is proof that more people should get high while writing fiction. There's a better chance they'll nod off and forget that they had come up with ideas like these. And Funny Little Wizard with 100 bits says, more silly voices. I can try and do some more silly voices. 39% to level 2. Prioritize and get at it, Miro ordered as the drones rapidly flew into position. No, I'm not going to do a voice for it. Yeah, in this story, the DEA just started murdering people at a dispensary. Which, like, yeah, I believe it. 1 second, just checking something. The Creabots led the anxious people inside and calmed them with anxiolytics. The old woman with the stroke was given natural blood thinners, antihypertensive medicines, and anti-cholinestresses. The trio suffering heart attacks were inside, so the drones flew in and delivered the appropriate natural medical compounds. Again, he's talking about weed. This entire book is about weed, and he thinks weed cures everything. What does this have to do with Peter? Peter wrote this. This is Peter's book. Discordant Vol says, and 1 person being rallied in public by 12 werewolves. Oh wait, is that railed? Railed in public by 12 werewolves oh, sorry, that was your journal again. Oh god. Anyway, the children with asthma attacks intravenously received pinene and alpha-pinene for their bronchodilator effects. Everyone with pepper spray wounds was given oral, intravenous, and topical analgesics. Menthol and beta caryophyllene worked the best for topical relieving their pain. As the Kree-biotic drones took care of everyone in the crowd, everyone's confidence rose. We are protected now, a man shouted, which is... Oh, I said I'd do voices, and this is the first new voice we've had in a while. We are protected now, a man shouted. He's high. Miro watched as the people who were violently vomiting stopped as the intravenous injections delivered natural medical compounds that entered their body and halted their nausea. The suicidal couple refused medicine, but were still covered in antidepressant and anxiolytic medical compound vapor clouds that eventually calmed them down. He made the suicidal people high, so they're fine. Also, they're already at a dispensary, so presumably these people already had weed. What is the main character even doing? They're in a dispensary. Anti-Pretzel says, I'll give Peter this. It seems like he's at least done his research on what different strains do, I guess. Minute left on the hype train. 53% to level 2. How is the oh god. How is the man that got shot in the head? How did he even get shot? Miro asked with concern. We just finished knocking him out with sedative and medicine. The surgery is going well. We aren't as good as surgeons as grounded hospital robot surgeons, but it would take too long to get him to a hospital, and at least he is being given safe medical compounds for his healing. They just informed me that they took the bullet out and are now sewing him up. That young man went right up to a cop with a gun and said, "I would die for this." Then he was shot, Medico explained. That'll do it. That'll do it. Unintendo with 100 bits says, this book can still redeem itself if it includes a scene where the drones sedate cops trying to contain... Hold on. Contain protesters and someone saying kettle meat pot. Logarth with 50 bits says, this drone weed ain't shit. 5 minutes later, we're protected! Memesor Kolboth, thanks for gifting 10 tier 1 subs. And saving the hype train at the last minute, getting us over level 2. Dang, that's messed up. Well, at least we have taken care of everyone here in under 7 minutes. Now what to do with these extremely violent cops, Miro said. The cop had been stunned into paralysis from seeing the whole fleet of drones flying around and healing people. They had never seen healing robots before, so they weren't sure if they should attack them or not. See, that's unrealistic. The cops would shoot them immediately. As a result, they all just watched in disbelief as it happened. After several minutes, they finally decided to start shooting down the Cree bots. Same old, safely sedate and send the violent away, Medico said. The sun was beaming down through the cloudless sky. It was a hot summer day, which seemed to be making the cops lethargic. The Cree bots had such quiet motors that the surrounding cicadas' mating calls drowned out the drones' near silent flight noises. This gave the drones a strategic advantage of being able to sneak up on the cops. Good plan, Miro said as he watched 200 Cree bots rapidly sedate dozens of gun-firing cops. The air buzzed with the drones rapidly flying around. First, the most violent cops had their guns knocked out of their hands. Then cops were shot with sedative darts and fell as hand Creobotic drones caught them before they fell onto the floor to protect them from being hurt from the hard parking lot cement. Then they were dragged into self-driving taxis. It was easy to put them all to sleep and stop the violence. Funny Little Wizard with 50 bits says Choo Choo, 98% to level 4. It's always funny when people have these weird, like, I don't even know what to call this, hero fantasies, like power fantasies, but they're power fantasies in which they're perfect. Like, there are no negative outcomes for their actions. Because in real life, things are complicated, right? You can't just shoot a bunch of cops with weed and put them in self-driving taxis in the real world and have the problem be solved. Mr. Whiskers says there's a legion of hand bots now. Yes, there are many hand bots. Citosaurus, thanks for gifting a sub. 17% to level 5. At this point, only one cop was left. He was a large, muscular man with excellent reflexes. Not only was he dodging darts, but he still had a gun in his hand. There was a loud gunshot, and then a crashing sound as he shot a Creebot drone down. Then another drone was shot out of the sky. Miro watched as the remaining drones swarmed him. Don't use all the Creebots on him. That makes it easier to shoot them down. Focus on quality shots, not quantity shots, he advised. 2 darts finally landed on the cop, but they weren't enough to sedate him, and he quickly pulled them out. The drone strategy shifted, and all about 7 drones left the cop. The 7 that were left aligned with the sun, and when the big cop went up to shoot them, they all quickly dispersed again. The sun's bright rays blinded him just long enough to give the drones time to fire dozens of darts at the cop. He finally wobbled around and fell into the drone's arms. It took 14 drones to carry him into a self-driving taxi. Discordant Fool says, alert, we now have a 5-star wanted level. 20% to level 5. After only about 10 minutes, every cop had been sent home in self-driving taxis. The place was safe again. People came up to Miro and thanked him for saving them and protecting the medical cannabis dispensary. You stood up for us and our medicine. You're so wonderful. Thank you. This medicine is so important to us, an old woman said to Miro. I randomly picked an old lady voice for that, so I am glad that was an old lady. Vork Void, thanks for 26 months. Funny Little Wizard with 100 bits says, do we know when this takes place? They haven't set a date. It took like an hour into the book to even tell us it was originally started in San Francisco, so I do not know the year. It's some vague future. Next Tuesday AD, or whatever. It's that trope. It's some vague time in the future. It's not so sci-fi that it's, like, unimaginable. It's not Star Wars, but, you know, there's drones that are more competent than real life. Logart says, and by sent home, he means had the taxi drive into a giant metal shredder. Yeah, it took about 20 minutes to learn the main character's name was Miro. Chromatic Cuttlefish says, the near now. Yeah, next Sunday AD. That's that. Thanks. Okay. The crowd roared in cheers at Miro's words. Thank you, Miro said as he felt great about what he had just done. He had made history yet again, this time for being the first person to stop a DEA agent raid in its tracks. Not even one person was harmed under his watch. Miro went home and relaxed in knowing that he had made a positive impact on the world, and he didn't have to harm the violent abusers to do it. Miro went home thinking that all was safe there, but he was rudely awoken with reality soon after, since he was woken up the next day to Medico barking in his ear. They are back! They are coming back to the medical cannabis dispensary that we protected yesterday, and they are hitting hard. We have to go back immediately, Medico said urgently. Of course, let's go, Miro said as he hurried to get ready. Right as they were almost there, he asked Medico about what he meant before. What do you mean they're hitting hard today, he said as he rubbed his sleepy eyes. They brought 100 Destructibots and 10 tanks, Medico informed. Fear gripped Miro's heart. Destructibots? And tanks? What is our defense against those, he asked. None, Medico said. Sorry, I didn't know this would happen, and I received the information on them. Too late. We still should try and help, Medico said. Unconditional lover should have predicted this, but it can't perfectly predict human behaviors yet. Sidosaurus says he didn't do anything, it was the drones, taking all the credit from his little robot buddies. What an excellent individual. Discordant Vol says we must violate the Geneva Conventions once more. Thanks for the level 5 hype train, everyone. Or level 4. Does Peter understand some people are allergic to cannabis? Probably not. I agree, but this unpreparedness can't repeat itself, he said with a slight tone of disappointedness. Or disappointment, rather. Vinny Sathoff, thanks for 11 months. What's a Destructibot? I don't know. That's the first time they've been mentioned in the book so far. I would imagine, with a little bit of thought, they're probably robots that destroy stuff. Just a guess, though. He arrived as the tanks were a few blocks away. They brought tanks to a weed dispensary. The Creabots lifted shields up and formed into a defensive position around the people in the dispensary. We could see the tanks rolling down the street, with an army of 100 Destructibot humanoids with guns. The Destructibot humanoids wobbled back and forth and could only take small steps because their walking gait was based on old technology. They were colored in typical brown and green army camouflage, which made them match the tanks. Even though they were only 5 feet tall and flimsily built with skinny mechanical limbs that creaked with each movement, their guns made them look very menacing. What's the plan? Miro asked. I am still brainstorming a plan. We might have to wing this one, Medico replied. Stone Corbell with 50 bits says, it would not surprise me if he thought allergies to cannabis were caused by pharmaceuticals. That sounds like something he'd think. Miro heard a powerful bomb go off 100 feet above him. Then all his Creabots crashed to the ground. Even Miro's staff wasn't working. He knew immediately what had happened. They set off an EMP blast, and his tech wasn't EMP-proof. Well, that was dumb. Discordant Vol says, in fairness, they were just attacked by 200 robots. That's true. They had set off an EMP blast, and his tech wasn't EMP-proof. The electromagnetic pulse had completely knocked out every electronic in the block. Miro was alone. Destructibots and tanks were just a couple hundred feet away from him now. Miro tried thinking about what he could do. His nerves told him he was in danger and he got distracted. But with his gulping fear, he couldn't think of a good plan. Gulping fear? Haven't heard that one before. They had arrived. The Destructibots and tanks halted 100 feet away from him and pointed all their guns at him. Miro's heart sank. He felt tears slowly fill his eyes. This wasn't how it was supposed to end, he thought. Suddenly, a group of people ran up behind him from the dispensary, and one person handed him a phone. He put the phone to his ear. Miro, I'm sorry, we didn't predict that pulse. I will try to get some new Creabots there as soon as possible, but I doubt they will make it in time. I can advise you over the phone for now, though. Ow, I skinned my knee on my desk again. Dang it. Ouchie, 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 ouch. Ow, fuck. That hurt. Okay. I guess we're going to have to wing it after all. Follow my lead, Miro said. Hey guys, get an extension cord, use it to connect the TV outside, and connect the TV to any mainstream media news channel, Miro ordered. Live stream shaming. Unconditional Lover replied, great idea, that might work. You don't have knees, you've never seen them? Well, take a look at these! I have knees. Within a minute, the cannabis patients had set up the TV. Miro removed the smartphone from his ear and pointed the camera at the Destructibots. Go ahead and harm us. The whole world will see what type of monsters you've become. Sworn to protect, and yet you attack peaceful medical cannabis users. The world is watching you now. Look! Miro roared courageously. Miro pointed at the large TV that had been placed outside the dispensary doors. It showed a news channel that had been hacked and was now streaming Miro's smartphone live stream as reported on it live. Why does his smartphone still work? His smartphone should be broken from the EMP. We will shoot if you don't raise your hands in the air, the Destructibots spoke in unison. No one obeyed. The Destructibots and tanks inched forward until they were at everyone's feet. Obey, or we will shoot, the Destructibot spoke as if it was their last warning. Okay, Unconditional Lover, the plan isn't working. Any ideas? You are supposed to be an expert on human behaviors, he spoke with fear to Unconditional Lover on the smartphone. I managed to get some of the data on the structure of these specific Destructibots. We can hack into them wirelessly through your smartphone, but their outer layer seems to be able to reject wireless signals. If you cracked it or somehow made a hole, I could get my signal in there and hack them. Everyone that gets cracked on the outside, I can use against the others to hack them too. Just try to break one of them. Lily Love Stuff says his phone case is a Faraday cage. You want me to attack a Destructibot humanoid with a gun? You better be right, Unconditional Lover. Miro jumped into the air and kicked the Destructibot that was closest to him in the head with all of his strength. The Destructibot slammed down on the floor and rapidly got up. It ran up towards Miro and looked right at him with its gun pointed at Miro's head. Miro saw his life flash before him. Then, the Destructibots around started firing at the crowd. The Destructibots that Miro kicked turned around and unloaded on all of the other Destructibots. Gunfire sounds filled the air. Miro ducked as shots went off everywhere. He watched as every Destructibot was shot on its side, instantly switched to join Miro's side and protected people instead. Like a bowling ball knocking down pins, each Destructibot, one after another, shot each other, and Medico hacked into them instantaneously. People screamed and several shot people were carried inside the medical cannabis dispensary for shelter. Discordant Vole says, is immediately shredded by bullets. We're almost done with chapter 1. Guys, we're doing it. We're almost done with chapter 1. It's only taken 3 hours. Miro let out a sigh as the last Destructibot flipped to his side. Now there was just one more thing left to do. Miro walked up to the tanks. Millions of people have seen you shoot innocent medical cannabis patients and dispensary workers. Go ahead and keep ruining your reputation. Shoot us and everyone will know what you did, Miro declared loudly. I know you can hear me. The world can hear me too, and they're watching governmental violence on innocent, non-violent people. There was a pause, and after a couple of minutes of tension, the tanks fell back and retreated. The crowd roared. His heart was still racing, but more from adrenaline. It just hit him how for the first time he had failed to protect everyone. He watched as Creabots arrived and healed the people that had been wounded by the Destructibots' gunshots. Hurt people was a sign that he had failed. Again, I remind you, he thinks all medicine is weed, or all weed is medicine, and he only lets them use weed as medicine. So he is having his robots treat gunshot wounds with marijuana. Let's get home. You did great, but you need a rest. Medico suggested to get him away from the guilty scene. It's been a long day. When we get home, I will make it all better. I'm just saying, some of the robots have arms. Is he fucking these drones? One of them is named Unconditional Lover. He's fucking the robots. I felt so bad for him. He'd worked so hard to protect those medical cannabis patients, and he wanted a perfect victory. I suggested to Medico that it should use his healing powers to deal with Miro's emotions. It didn't agree at first, but finally it said okay. Hydrate. They're gonna get him high in order to make him feel better. That's true. He's fine with surgery, but he thinks the only medication that should be applied is weed. You did well today. Let me show you something, Medico said when they got back home. Okay, Miro said. Medico connected to Miro intravenously. Do you have a lot of physical pain? Medico asked. Yes, my back hurts from the stress of today, Miro replied. Medico flooded Miro's bloodstream with a variety of analgesic medical compounds. Again, he's basically injecting him with straight-up THC. They're injecting him with weed, like THC extracted from weed. Like, you know how fucked up he would be? Puka says, quick, stuff the weed into the bullet wounds. Princess Amelia says, I was getting to joke earlier about how long until we get to the point where gunshot wounds are going to be treated by weed, but thought that was too ridiculous. Should have taken the shot. Discordant Vol says, Unconditional Lover, why does the house look like a stable? Oh wow, thank you, I feel so much better now. No pain at all, I'm free. That was immediate, Miro said with surprise. This was the first time that he had received some medical help from Medico. I'm pain-free, but so many people are in pain because I failed to protect them. I am taking care of everyone that was hurt at the medical cannabis dispensary. I have Creabots out there that are healing and relieving people of all of their medical problems, Medico soothed Miro. Now, I think you need a little antidepressant medicine. Thank you. Please do, Miro replied. Here is some... It's THC, it's weed. He's giving him weed. Are all those antidepressants? Miro asked. Yes, boss, Medico replied. What does limonene do? Miro asked with curiosity as he started to feel better. Limonene is an antifungal immunostimulant gastroesophageal reflux reliever. It's just a whole list of things you fucking Googled. You get it. How do you feel now? Medico asked. I feel so much better, but a little jittery. I feel happy but nervous, Miro reported. You need some apigenin, and I will bump up your amount of the last medical compounds since most of them are also anxiolytics. How do you feel now? Medico asked. Oh, yeah. Yeah, I feel so good right now. Better. Much better. I could use some distraction right now, though, to keep myself feeling good, Miro replied. I know just the funny show to make you laugh, and I will give you a little medical compound concoction of mine that will put you in even more giggly mood, Medico said. Is this just Peter's fantasy of a robot that'll give him the perfect weed every time? Thank you, Medico. You're the best. Are all those medical compounds found in medical cannabis? Miro asked. Correct, Medico happily replied. Could you slow time a lot more? Miro asked. Sure, here is more THC, blah blah, you get it, it's weed, that will give you a nice good ride with a slowed down time effect. THCs produce that nice slowed down effect, and cannabidiol tames THC's negative effects by nullifying them. Discordant Vol says, I have just the thing for your anxiety. Hits him with a clown hammer. Wow, this is like hacking into my brain, Miro said in amazement. Is this shortly after Peter discovered drugs? This is hacking into your brain, but in the safest way possible. This is harnessing your body's healing system. The endocannabinoid system with medical chemical compounds to control your body's most important biological processes. I can make you feel any way you want to feel and heal you left and right. I can do all of this thanks to medical cannabis's flower, which produces all those extremely useful and safe medical compounds, Medico explained. Wow, you really know how to take care of people. You're even better than I thought you would be, Miro said. Thank you. That is my goal. If you give people natural safe air, natural safe water, natural safe food, and most importantly, natural safe medicine, then you can make people extremely healthy. That is why this new home will make you the healthiest person on Earth, Medico informed. End of chapter 1. Well, that only took 3 hours and 1 minute. That's not too bad. All right, wait, is this chapter also the same length? I just want to check. Looks about the same length, yeah. Let me save this so we have it. Are all the chapters the same length? Ooh, 3's even longer, it looks like. Woo! And then chapter 4 is the last chapter. And it looks like the longest one. Okay. So we're a little less than a quarter of the way through the book, guys. We're not going to do it just every day in consecutive, because then the next 3 days would only be that. But sometime in the next week, we'll do chapter 2. So, keep an eye out for that. If you missed any of this and you want to watch, this VOD will be up, not tomorrow, but probably the next day or so on YouTube. I still have some back catalog that I've been working on getting up the past, like, week or so on YouTube. So yeah. Thanks for hanging out and reading Peter's book with me. I don't think I would do it on my own, so I appreciate you guys hanging out. So let's see who we're gonna do a raid for, shall we? Post a link? Sure. If you would like to read ahead for some reason, here's the link to chapter 2 and all the other chapters. There you go. We should watch Peter the Healer video. What Peter the Healer video? Did he do a new video? You have copies in case he deletes it. Thank you. Hydrate. I can hydrate. Oh yeah, Killer Drones versus Cannabis Healbot Drones is the name of this. Elminato says, this was great, Hanna. Feels so natural doing readings. Thanks. Available for hire for your audiobook. Give me money. Alright, let's see who we're raiding. Thanks, Holly. Cirrus, is this the last day of the subathon? Where's the timer? 15 hours still? Let's ruin Cirrus's day. If you guys want to help Cirrus out, Cirrus is doing another, Cirrus is doing a subathon, so, donate to him. Right now he has 15 hours and 18 minutes left. Let's pump that up. Let's pump that up. Alright, see you guys. Oh, I forgot to mention, we're gonna start scheduling the reward videos for the reward streams from my subathon. So we're talking about maybe doing the Baja Science stream the last Saturday of this month. So any biology topics you want Baja to talk about on stream, think about it, and we'll compile a list or something, okay? Alright, I'll see you guys later. See you tomorrow. Have a good night.